Well, this morning, President Trump took to Twitter and says, why did the Obama administration start an investigation into the Trump campaign long before the election in November, wanted to discredit so Crooked H would win, unprecedented, bigger than Watergate, plus Obama did nothing about Russian meddling. Yet here is Robert Mueller continuing his investigation into Trump and collusion, moving on from Russia to Saudi Arabia. Here's Alex Jones breaking it down.
We could not understand why the Trump administration was so firmly taking the Saudis' side in this dispute.
They're 80% of Islam. Mecca's based there. They run the whole thing. They're running it. So you go to who is in charge to stop it. Robert Mueller has moved on from Russiagate to now investigating Saudi influence and Chinese influence. And I'm going to play the part about Saudi influence. And they go, and Trump's under criminal investigation. I thought it was about Russians. Why did Trump go to Saudi Arabia instead of Qatar or the UAE? Because Saudi Arabia runs the whole Middle East except for Iran. It runs 80% of Islam, the Sunnis. They were the ones funding ISIS and funding the Democrats. They arrested thousands of the ruling class who were funding the deep state here. Trump went there to cut the funding off, short of having a war with Saudi Arabia, and the king was so blown away with the president there knowing everything of his briefings with General Flynn and other generals that sent Flynn, whose names I'm not supposed to say, some of the former heads of the and president's advisors. I'm just letting the deep state know I know all of it. That was brought, and then ISIS crumbled. And it helped Russia defeat ISIS and the U.S. military. That's how you do it. Why have a war if you can go to the Saudi king and go, I know you're threatened by internal groups using ISIS to control you. Because the Saudis, some of them don't like this either. They want to just, be successful and not be radical Islam. Now they're reforming. Women can drive cars. Women can have jobs. Hijabs may come off. Trump went and said, I can overthrow you right now. Stop it. And they made a deal. That is then spun into being anti-American. We're Saudi agents.
Investigators want to know if
we're anyone's agents but us.
Of the UAE to buy political favor or influence with the Trump campaign through campaign money. The businessman George Nader, the Times reports, was a frequent visitor to the Trump White House in 2017, advised top Trump aides on Middle East policy ahead of the president's visit to Saudi Arabia last year, and Nader has been a sort of advisor to one of the leaders of the UAE. Now the special counsel is interviewing witnesses about Emirati influence and the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner's family business ties to the Middle East.
Like if you wanted to end World War II before it started, you'd go to Hitler. Owen, this is Twilight Zone now.
Well, think about it. Just like Russia, who was it? There was
no. It was never Russia. It was Saudi collusion.
But it was.
No, we're going to arrest Trump for Saudi collusion.
But who actually colluded with the Saudis? Okay, you're looking at exactly. So they take everything that Hillary.
He was there cutting off their funding.
So does this once again though? But does this show? I mean, what does this show about Mueller? Does this show that Mueller is covering for Hillary? I mean, what? Because that is just so weird. I mean, why all of a sudden is Mueller looking into Saudi Arabia? Like, what's going on with that?
All we know is, why did he go to Saudi Arabia? It's only the most powerful country in the Middle East, not Israel. Israel has nukes, but financially, it's Saudi Arabia.
Since when? Here's another incredible angle. This wasn't even news. People have been colluding with Russia and Saudi Arabia.
Well, they call the president under the Constitution can make any deal he wants. Then if you want to impeach him, that's fine, but he has that power. I can imagine what he's going through behind the scenes. I can just imagine. There's evidence of Russian collusion with Hillary. Well, we know that. It's confirmed. Mueller and Comey separately ordered stand-downs when she was Secretary of State under Obama and when she was co-president back in the 90s with Bill Clinton.
These witnesses have already left the department, which means the Inspector General does not have jurisdiction. And there are other agencies like the State Department where Michael Horowitz at DOJ has no jurisdiction whatsoever. Maria, over the weekend, I've counted up almost 24 witnesses that the Inspector General would not have access to were he alone conducting this investigation. So I think we're trending perhaps towards another special counsel because of this unique fact pattern and the fact that there are witnesses outside the reach of.
Fire from all cylinders. Fire, blast away. Welcome to the Infowar. Owen Schroyer sitting in for Alex Jones. We're going to be hearing from Alex at the bottom of the hour. Stacks of news coming in, reports coming in, specials breaking, a huge, huge interview with Ted Nugent that Infowars is going to have the exclusive on here soon. We've got some clips of that. But I'm not sure what the biggest news is right now, because you've got the tech left trying to censor free speech, censor conservatives. On top of that now, you have conservatives being doxxed by, we can only estimate what is the radical left. Michael Savage has all of his secret homes, quote unquote, visited by political operatives in the last 3 days. How did they get that information? You had the Huffington Post dox a Florida teacher who has a podcast that she's just, a conservative free thinker. I went and I listened to it, very libertarian ideas, but she's a white nationalist, so the HuffPost doxes her, and now her job is probably in jeopardy. And then we've got all these video clips that we're going to play today. Whenever Infowars goes out in the streets, whether it's myself or Jake Lloyd or Millie Weaver, we get spit at, we get assaulted, we get shoved. There's this one weird tactic that the left does where they just come up to you and they kind of just shove their butt into you. I don't know. It's really weird. And so this is what we deal with. But this is why they're trying to censor our channel. So you've got that huge story, the censorship, attacking free speech, attacking the Second Amendment. But then you've got President Trump this morning tweeting out about the Obama administration's illegal spying, saying it's bigger than Watergate. Now, this is true. It is bigger than Watergate. We've got all the evidence. We know who colluded with Russia. And so now Mueller is taking his investigation into a different direction and looking at Saudi Arabia, looking in that direction. And there's nothing there except more Hillary crimes to cover up. So you see this from President Trump, and his base scratches their heads and says, well, why aren't we doing something? Why aren't people being arrested? Why isn't Obama being hauled in front of a committee for a hearing right now? Why isn't that going on? Why aren't people hauling in these FISA judges, asking them questions? Did they try to hide the fact this was opposition research paid for by Hillary Clinton? See, think about it. The left gets to start violence at Trump rallies. They get caught by Project Veritas. Bob Kramer gets fired. Aaron Black gets exposed. The left gets to censor you on social media, whether it be Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or Google, rigging up their algorithms. The left gets to collude with Russia to make up opposition research that's then used to slander and libel President Trump. And this is what the left, all being done by the political left right now. But a conservative is a Nazi or a white nationalist if they want a border. This is madness. This is chaos. This is 1984. This is mental illness is what it is. I mean, you want to talk about mental illness, you've got leading stories. If feces on the streets of San Francisco isn't enough for you, you go over to the East Coast in New York City and there's going to be some pervert on the subway jacking off. So that's a story now out of New York, while you've got piles of feces in San Francisco. Democrat-run cities. It's mental illness. And it just all happens to be on the political left right now. So YouTube we've gone from 1 strike to 2 strikes to 3 strikes to 2 strikes to 1 strike, basically in the last 24 or 48 hours. Drudge is still covering it. YouTube hits Infowars with 3rd strike as fight goes nuclear. Links to our story at Infowars.com. Then you've got Dick's is now purging pro-gun patriotic merchandise. So I guess if you want to, buy a T-shirt that has a American flag on it, don't go to Dick's, because that's patriotic merchandise. You can't have that. Or I don't know, maybe there's like a flag T-shirt with like a Moan Labe or like a rifle on it or something. Nope, you can't do that either. No. Like I said earlier, you've got a Florida teacher accused of having a white nationalist podcast. It's just a conservative podcast. She gets doxxed by the Huffington Post. the Huffing Puffington Post over there doxes a Florida teacher for having a conservative podcast. Because, you know, you're not allowed to have a free speech if you're a conservative. If you're a liberal, if you're a good liberal, and you are making death threats to conservatives and making death threats to the president and having death threats in your music videos and your plays and everything, that's just a good liberal. See, it's a good liberal to have a play called Kill Climate Deniers. You see, this is the hatred of the left. The left is honestly a death cult. That's not just rhetoric. There's a reason why they pretend to kill Donald Trump in their music videos and their art and their plays. There's a reason why they have a play called Kill Climate Deniers. That's what they want to do. They want to kill you. But even this is a misnomer. See, do you see how they twist things? This is 1984. They are the climate deniers. They are the ones that deny science. They make up formulas and then say that proves global warming. There is no science. From the very beginning, who they dub a climate denier were the ones that said, no, this is climate. This is climate change. This is what happens. So we say climate change. They say man-made global warming. Now you got record snowfall, record cold temperatures, nor'easters everywhere. And so they have to take a step back from for saying man-made global warming, because that's obviously fake news. Now they look like idiots on that. They get exposed rigging the temperatures. So now they just say man-made climate change. And if you don't think it's man-made, then you're a climate denier. And if you are a climate denier, well, then we have to kill you. And it doesn't stop there. They're going to want to kill you if you're a Christian. They're going to kill you if you're a nationalist, a conservative. I mean, this is what it's all about. That's why they want to just censor everything. They say they're about free speech, and then they censor everything that opposes their views. They say that they're for life and love and life. Oh, it's so good. But then they abort babies. They hate you. Another big story that's on Infowars.com from Leo Zagami. We're reaching out to him right now. Italy's 2018 rigged elections. Italy will most likely remain in the hands of the left-wing mondialists sponsored and manipulated by George Soros. Trying to get Leo on to talk about that. Not to mention, you've got this breaking news where the Vatican is essentially being blackmailed by a escort who's saying that there's at least 40 gay priests in the Vatican, and drugs, prostitution, blackmail. So that's all developing right now as well. Leo Zagami is the expert to talk about on all that. Like I said, I'm going to have the clips. We're going to have some clips of videos that they want banned. But, folks, we are truly all under attack here. And if they can take down Infowars, they can take down everybody. And CNN is behind a lot of this. And I theorize that CNN is going and flagging our videos, or you know, the Brian Stelters at CNN have nothing better to do. So we have just extended the Paul Revere special to the Defeat CNN to Crush Infowars special. So the Defeat CNN to Crush Infowars special. So if you want to defeat CNN, go to InfoWarsStore.com. Take advantage of our huge specials. Free shipping store-wide. Free shipping store-wide. And then 50% off some of the most popular products like Super Male Vitality, The Real Red Pill, Biome Defense, and True Whey. And then you've got specials on another top seller like Brain Force, 80% off some of the apparel right now. And again, free shipping store-wide. Free shipping store-wide. So for big ticket items like emergency food supplies and the air filters and the water filters, take advantage of the free shipping because you get big savings on that. All right, on the other side, we're going to go to some of these viral videos on the Alex Jones YouTube channel. This is the reason why they want us banned. Nobody else will do what we do. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. Owen Schroyer filling in for Alex today. We're going to be hearing from Alex at the bottom of the hour. He's got some breaking news to cover. Now, what I want to do in this segment and the next is to play some of the videos that we feature on the Alex Jones channel here that you're just not going to get anywhere else. We go out on the street and we offer the Trump protesters, the liberals, the protesters, the women marchers, a platform. And we give them a microphone and we say, hey, what's on your mind? Why are you out here protesting? What do you think about this issue? What do you think about this? And we experience pretty much the same thing every time. Either they're completely clueless, they're ignorant, they have no idea what they're doing there, or they're hateful, they're violent, and they're disgusting. So this first video that we're going to go to, Jake Lloyd goes to UT to file a man on the street, where I'm convinced now, it used to be we could go out and actually do a report and not just be harassed the whole time. We've kind of passed that threshold now. And I think that UT has like lookouts or something. And whenever we go to UT's campus now, they have like an email chain or something, and they inform people, and then they go out and they seek us out so that they can try to disrupt our videos. But that's fine, because please, it's great content. So please let the crazy liberals know when we go to UT, and please come embarrass yourself so that we can get videos like this. So these are the types of videos that they want banned from YouTube, because it shows the left for who they really are. So here's Jake Lloyd going to UT, just trying to shoot a video, ask people what they think about issues, when he's rudely disrupted by some liberal protesters.
Oh my gosh, why are you wearing a mask? Why are you wearing a mask? You know who wears masks? Criminals wear masks. People about ready to commit a crime, that's who wears masks.
That's right.
Oh, okay.
The Democrat Party is the party of criminals. Still being run by Hillary Clinton, one of the biggest of all time.
All right. You're blocking the wrong side of the phone there. Let's go, guys. Let's go.
So here's Jake Lloyd. He can't even film this or report. His cameraman's getting shoved.
Run off with that shit.
Hey, oh no.
You don't grab my
Oh yeah, then they run away.
Please stop touching us.
Can you not, though?
Please stop. Can I not?
This is what they do. They get up in your face and they either rub like their body on you like some weird fetish, or they shove their sign in your face, and then you fight back and you're like, hey, get off me, and they're like, whoa, what are you doing? You're out of control.
Losers like to assault people.
Okay, I understand, but like this is also like a school environment, and like from no one.
Yeah, we're trying to engage in political discourse, and we have people like this guy coming up and assaulting
School
people.
environment. You're not allowed to have free speech. School environment. No free speech here. School environment.
That's a lie.
School environment.
No, it's not. I shoved him. He grabbed the fucking wire. He tried to pull it out of my hand.
Oh, yeah.
I shoved him off.
Yeah, that's a tactic they always try to do, is they rip our wires.
We started it, but that's fine. We
like
have
the
footage
Chicken
of
Man.
everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, till the police can get here, we're going to describe this. We're going to keep trying to talk to people and see if anybody wants to talk to us. Oh. Oh, okay.
I just heard them plug Super Male Vitality.
We were having so much fun.
50% off right now.
Infowars so much fun. We were actually like kind of had like a little cute thing going on here, and then people want to come up and have an issue. So Jake Lloyd back again for Infowars.com. We had to take a little break there for just a moment.
So there you go. So there's one example. Again, Jake just goes out. He's trying to shoot a man on the street, saying, hey, I think he was trying to talk about gun control in this one, or Trump or something. I don't remember. And they just show up. They shove their signs. And then, you know what? We might have to pull this video. If you've ever heard of Fleckus Talks, all of these protesters, he asked them if they vote. None of them even vote. They don't even vote. I guarantee you those people out there carrying those signs don't even vote. They probably don't even know anything about those candidates. But regardless, that's what happens. Jake Lloyd just goes out, and because he has an Infowars mic flag, he's the bad guy. Jake Lloyd, oh, it's an Infowars reporter. Get him. Get him. Go shove a sign in his face. We're for free speech. Go stop his right to free speech. We're loving and tolerant. Let's go like weird fetishly rub our butt on him. I'm telling you, it's the weirdest thing. Ask anybody who goes to these things. They all do the same thing. Now, there was this was a march for Trump in Austin, Texas this weekend that I attended. And there were, again, some radical commies that showed up to try to disrupt things. Here's a video of one of them getting arrested.
Look at this lady. No. You know this lady. You know her. You know her.
Oh, my gosh. Yes.
How are you today, ma'am?
Oh, my gosh.
Well, you have a sign. Why don't you execute your free speech?
I feel bad for that woman.
How's your day been?
You may recognize her from other viral videos.
Hey, how's your day been?
Wow.
How's your pirate radio show?
This is the
Were you
guy.
the one that took it down? Did you destroy that tower? Wait, was that you?
Tower wasn't destroyed, dude.
Oh, okay. Here's some other.
That guy got in a fight earlier. Got his butt kicked.
Trump today?
That's why he has glass on. He had a huge black guy.
Alt, right, delete. All right. Don't want to talk. I think that's pretty much it, though. Here, hold on.
That lady was pointing him out.
Hold on. We've got another Trump protester here. Here, sir, Trump protester. Look at all the Trump protesters on the street. We got a Trump protester. Anything, sir? Anything? No. Trump protester, sir? No. Nothing. No, nothing from the Trump protesters. I thought the Trump protesters would want to talk. They never do. That's funny. That's funny. All right, let's speed up the pace here.
Full of that. I didn't think we were that. I just.
Well, that's true.
They're right over there.
Okay, okay. We got some communist Antifa protesters here. We saw that guy back there.
You see the rainbow flag up there?
Rainbow flag? I see a sign. Usually, oh, there they are. Okay. Oh wow, we've got some wild ones.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they all had their faces covered as usual.
Okay, let's check this out. All right, so here's the police here maintaining a line.
Did you see all those
between
Trump
the
protesters in the street, though?
And they're, hey, this is what you call keep Austin weird. No. This is what you
wait
call
till you
keep
see who's
Austin
in this
weird
video.
right here.
Oh my, I can't believe I'm reliving this right now. This is like weird for me. Look at this. This is what I had to deal with.
One's getting arrested here. Come here. We got a protester getting arrested now. See if you can get a shot of this. Oh, we're getting blocked here. Yeah, I'm on you.
I do believe that this was the only arrest from the march.
Right now.
There he is.
He's got his face covered.
Face covered, helmet on. Wearing all black.
Apparently
Black Lives Matter shirt, I think.
White over here.
What is it? All racist? What does his shirt say? Nah, he doesn't know.
So there's one down.
If you've got a whole paragraph on the front of your shirt, good luck.
We're being told to keep moving now.
All right, so there you go. So there's an example of some of the stuff. Oh my God! See, if you follow our videos, and we're gonna play more of these later. We're actually about to be joined by Leo Zagami here, coming up in the next segment for half an hour to talk about his newest article on the Italian elections, as well as the blackmail supposedly that's being sent to the Vatican right now. But we're gonna have more of those videos. But there was this, I'm telling you, actually having to like watch that and relive it, it's like eerie, man. I mean, those people are really just sad. The one woman, you'll recognize the one woman. She's been in a viral video. She's like totally soul-sucked. You feel bad for her. And then you've got this other woman, the famous woman who makes fart noises with her mouth. She was back out on Saturday. She was still making fart noises with her mouth, but she added the clown costume this time. You see, she wasn't crazy enough with just making the fart noises. Now she wants to be a clown that makes fart noises. I mean, they're really ratcheting it up. When they go high, I mean, they go high, baby. We'll be hearing from Alex in the next segment. In this segment, though, I'm joined by Leo Zagami. He has just published the article on Infowars.com, Italy's 2018 rigged elections. He's going to be breaking this down with us right now. Leo, thank you so much for joining us on short notice today.
Hello, everybody. It's actually my birthday, so I guess...
Oh, well, happy birthday.
A pleasant surprise on both sides. And I hope to give you the latest information on what apparently is a rigged election from the start. I mean, they worked for over a year on placing this new voting system called Rosatellum, and basically they have done something that is only facilitating the possibility to maintain the same positions, maybe activating some new alliances in the process, because there is a limit of 40% that is required to each party or coalition for having the governability of Italy and establishing a new government. As 40% in a proportional system with many parties is almost impossible, these elections are basically rigged. And they have also, part of this electoral system has been built in a way that you're not really capable as a candidate to have your own independence, because the party is just getting those ones who are already in their, let's say, in the process, in the elitarian process, chosen from on top. And they don't have to necessarily be from the same party. In fact, in communist Bologna, in left-wing Bologna, an ex-Christian Democrat like Ferdinando Casini, who is the favorite politician of Pope Francis, was re-elected thanks to a left-wing party. That would be impossible to even imagine 40 or 50 years ago, when the Christian Democrats and the communists were fighting against each other. Then we had also the re-election, for example, of an old Berlusconi politician called Lorenzin, who was, though, minister for Matteo Renzi, and she was also re-elected by rigging the system in Modena. So we have also in Milan, for example, a whole area of Milan where the electorate, of course, was pushed to vote for the people chosen by George Soros, because George Soros has been really present in these Italian elections. And what people from the international media tend to ignore is that even the so-called revolutionaries of these elections, the Five-Star Movement, who have become the first party in Italy with 30% of the votes, have actually already chose a minister for their economy who works for the open democracy and for the open society of George Soros. So they might now force a sort of coalition between all the factions that are under George Soros in the left wing, and come up with probably another government by the same people, more or less. There is even the possibility that the present prime minister, who is Paolo Gentiloni, will stay in his place for a second mandate. So these elections, which of course have seen a rise in the populist vote, because the Northern League has risen so high in the coalition that was led by Berlusconi, that basically Berlusconi now is not anymore the leader of this coalition, but is Matteo Salvini. And Matteo Salvini has just gone a few minutes ago to visit Silvio Berlusconi in his villa, apparently staying only for a little while. And this is a sign of a very tense situation, because behind the scenes, like I wrote also in a recent article, Matteo Salvini, of course, is a typical far-right populist that is working for the sovereignty of Italy. While instead, Berlusconi behind the scenes might have struck a secret deal with Matteo Renzi. However, now the Democrat leader in Italy, which is Matteo Renzi, which is, of course, a tool of the Clinton Foundation, of George Soros, he is about to be kicked out of his own party. But they have been waiting now for his resignations for hours, and this resignation, of course, is being delayed and delayed longer times for giving this resignation, which of course is inevitable. But because behind the scenes, apparently, there is the possibility that the Five-Star Movement strikes a deal with the left wing of George Soros and part of the Democrat Party. And in that case, they will have the majority of the House, and they will be able to establish this new government that in any case is ruled by George Soros, who will continue to flood Italy with immigrants, who will continue with his demented policies. So in the end, nothing will really change. What I think is very sad out of these Italian elections is that the Italians wasted 400 million euros for organizing these elections, and it was a complete farce, meaning they had devised this new anti-fraudulent system, but it was a fiasco.
Well, it seems to me that the Rosatellum system that you're talking about is really just in opposition to stop any grassroots movements from having any political grounds. Again, the story is on Infowars.com. You also get into a role of Steve Bannon in these elections as well. Again, all of that is in the story at Infowars.com. But, Leo, before we go here, we got just over 2 minutes left. I'm sure that you've heard about the blackmail scandal that is enveloping the Vatican right now, with a male escort who's saying that at least 40 gay priests were sent to the Vatican. What can you tell us about this? What do you know about this?
Well, this story is very important because apparently this male escort has saved around 50 screenshots of all his partners in the Catholic Church. So he has evidence with these screenshots of all the requests that he was getting some of the requests are outrageous. I mean, a group of monks invited him to their monastery in the middle of a forest so he could be a passive partner to their sexual exploitations. And he said, well, I hope you're passive. We are free monks. We want to invite you for this gay orgy. And this is only one of the many things that comes out of this scandal involving this male escort. So, I mean, the situation is very tense because there is a possibility that this male escort might really need a few bodyguards to stay alive, because with the amount of information that he could bring out, he could definitely put in trouble a lot of people. Here we're not talking only about Catholic priests, but also cardinals, bishops, and the hierarchy of the Vatican, of course, is very scared of all this.
And of course, this is all kind of right on the heels of the number 2 to the Pope, who is also enveloped in a scandal as well. I mean, how does the Vatican deal with this? How is the Vatican dealing with this? I mean, this is serious stuff, serious allegations. I'm not hearing about any reform. I'm not hearing the Pope address this. I mean, are they just trying to brush it under the rug?
Absolutely, Owen. And there is even another scandal that has come out in the last few days regarding a priest who was condemned by the Italian authorities, but the Vatican, since last week, reinstalled him so he could preach Mass, he could celebrate Mass. So this is really scandalous, and of course, all this is in the Italian media is being sided, is being put cleverly on the side during these elections, which of course are taking the majority of the space, even if they are completely rigged, and we know that nothing will change.
All right, Leo Zagami, thank you so much for your time. Again, the story, Italy's 2018 rigged elections by Leo Zagami, is on Infowars.com right now. I say the Vatican, I mean, we need serious reformation. The Pope is a joke. The halls and the basements and the dwellings of the Vatican need to be investigated. What kind of secret history does the Vatican know?
Many people think, oh, the president was just joking. I could give you a list of 1,000 things where they claimed the president was joking afterwards. And if there was laughter, there was laughter. People made uncomfortable. But there are statements in the past that Donald Trump has made where he has praised Xi for consolidating power. China has become more and more autocratic over the past 6 months to a year. He's made conscious moves to become more and more autocratic. You have Donald Trump praising Erdogan when he consolidates power. Duterte when he goes out and does brags about doing extrajudicial. This is important though. When Republicans, Gene, are just saying it's just a joke, or when Republicans ignore the fact that this man is talking about being president for life, if they think that Donald Trump is joking, then they're fools.
Alex Jones here on the road with 2 really important points I want to make. In a moment, I'll get into CNN's claim and now MSNBC's claim via Joe Scarborough that President Trump wants to be a dictator. We'll get to that in a moment. First off, I just really want to upfront thank all the listeners and viewers and supporters and activists and pro-liberty people out there that have taken action in the last 2 weeks while Infowars has been under massive boycotts, massive hack attacks, massive disinformation campaigns, false EEOC complaints filed via Hillary Clinton's former lawyer. The list goes on and on. And because of your steadfastness and your support and standing beside us and standing with us, Infowars is moving forward through this unprecedented barrage and attack and are maintaining our current trajectory to expand in the face of the globalists. But your support has just come in right at where we needed it. So I want to thank you all. I want to thank the local radio stations, the TV stations, everybody. One area that has expanded under the attack is the number of TV stations and radio stations contacting us to pick up the broadcast. We have been deluged in the last few months, but now it has reached really an amazing deluge with the crew that we've got, 2 great men working on taking all your calls and signing all the affiliate relations agreements. But I want to make it clear, for television, we are free to air. You can play over all the ads, you name it. UHF, VHF cable, you name it. We are here for you. Infowars.com/show has links to the affiliate page and the contact information. Now, that said, we've had Hillary Clinton's former, not just lawyer, but her former assistant lawyer when he got out of Georgetown and then worked for the State Department. He is quarterbacking the complete fiction filings that we are completely confident will be disintegrated in court and that we will be totally vindicated and then take action after that, because we have to set the precedent that you can't just absolutely, tell unbelievable lies about us and get away with it. That sets the precedent for not just us to be defamed for political purposes, but others. So again, that's a serious fight coming up, and that takes major funds. So we appreciate all of you supporting us. We've got the biggest sales ever extended right through this week that we had last week. The Paul Revere, defend free speech, defend the internet, defend the Second Amendment broadcast. That's going to extend those sales. Good to hear my sweet little daughter back there, 10 months old now. Didn't she just turn 10 months a few days ago, baby? On the 5th she does, yeah. So we've got all that going. It's today. See, told you. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, where was I before we had my little sweetheart chiming in? Oh, I was getting into, we're having these big sales in defense of the Second Amendment, defense of free speech, defense of the internet. And you can see how it is going on big time. And they can't stand the fact that you continue to support us, that you continue to pray for us, that you continue to take action. Now, that said, let's get to the latest disinfo, not against us, but against Trump. Oh, but let me add one other point, though, on that issue. It's incredible. I'm not even going to give these so-called journalists any attention. But without looking, I saw 3 different publications last night and this morning. 3 different publications that said that I totally made it up. YouTube isn't trying to bring me down. Nobody's filing false complaints. There are no strikes. There have been 5 strikes in 10 days. Now, they've removed all but 1 of them, but 3 of those would bring us down. We had 3 strikes as of Saturday, but the account was still there. I called some of our sources inside YouTube, and they went and looked at it, and they said, yeah, this is really weird. Just like some of your strikes have disappeared, but it doesn't even say that they accepted your appeal. This is very unusual. There's 3 strikes sitting here. Maybe it's under review, but a lot of times it'll just roll over in a few hours, and it hasn't rolled over yet, and then you'll be deleted. Last night I saw 2 articles. This morning I saw another one saying I made it up. CNN 10 days ago didn't say they were filing complaints to get us taken down. There weren't thousands of news articles saying that the last 10 days. There's not CNN going out and trying to stop Neil Strauss from working with me to publish a book on CNN money. There's not CNN contacting a bunch of so-called sponsors on YouTube that really weren't even sponsors and getting them to pull advertising to create this precedent that I'm collapsing. None of that happened because a particular BuzzFeed writer says so, and he talked to somebody that hasn't worked at our office in 2 years. Now, that's journalism. We talked to someone that worked there 2 years ago, and they say YouTube didn't talk to Jones. That's funny. That's really, really funny when that person never had any contact with any of our YouTube accounts. Had nothing to do with it. I mean, that is next level. I saw 2 other articles just saying, so see, they haven't succeeded in taking us down. You know, they're fighting hard. They're all over the news. And so now they're just saying that it's all made up. It's all a hoax. That's how stupid they think you are. Now, continuing. They were always saying that President Trump wasn't really running for president. It was all a stunt. Well, that's why he's announced he's running for a 2nd term, because it's all a stunt. He never wanted to be president. Yeah, right. All right, finishing this transmission. I got a call that interrupted me. The point is that they always said that President Trump didn't want to run for president, and it was all a big hoax. Despite all the money he spent, the time, the energy, they said his wife didn't want to do it. I've talked to people behind the scenes. Trump's been totally committed from the beginning, really believes in what he's doing. Now, that said, remember, they all said, CNN, you name it, that he never wanted to be president. Well, now he announces 980-something days out that he wants to be president, and he wants to run for a 2nd term. And then he's speaking at Mar-a-Lago a few days ago. And I remember seeing the CNN article about it, but I actually went and looked at some of the other articles about folks that were actually there. And he was joking about the Chinese president getting rid of term limits and basically becoming a dictator because he's already elected by the Communist Party. And in other accounts, they said that everybody laughed. He was telling jokes. Even the CNN report says he was telling jokes, but they still acted like it was serious. Now, people like Scarborough, Mr. Disinformation, who said he never wanted to be president, who said Trump was a fraud, he comes out and says Trump's serious and wants to be a dictator. Well, if Trump did get rid of term limits and then he was elected by U.S. citizens, that would mean we got rid of term limits for the presidency, like we don't have for the Congress. He wouldn't be a dictator, he'd be elected. But here's the key. Trump has said he wants to do it in one term if he could and fix the country and leave, or he'd do it in two, but he'll be 79 years old when he leaves office if he gets a second term. 79. He got into office at 71. Okay? So, again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a complete fraud. He was joking, and that shows how you can't even joke with these people because they spin everything. Bill Clinton said things would be a lot easier if I was a dictator, just so long as I'm the dictator, and so did Obama, so did a bunch of Bush. A bunch of them said that. But with Trump, he's transferring power back to the people, taking it away from the globalists, taking it away from the dictatorial TPP, taking it away from the dictatorial EU that's unelected. China is run by a communist dictatorship. The EU is an unelected dictatorship. The Democrats are the ones that want to bring in total tyranny and ban free speech. They're the authoritarians. And so their claims of pushing all this are a total and complete abject fraud. All right, again, I want to thank you all for your support. I want to salute you. Infowars.com, newswars.com, prisonplanet.com. Please support our local affiliates, TV affiliates, radio affiliates. They are so critical. Please spread the word. And please understand the fight to censor us is ongoing, but they're censoring everybody. And they backed down the last few days, but then SPLC operatives that run YouTube now are coming back in and still doing the strikes. So this ongoing saga is going to be ongoing. They're just hoping to confuse everybody and keep manipulating things until you guys just give up and stop paying attention. And that's how freedom dies, is in the dark. So there's an information war going on. It's who wants to fight the distance, who wants to go the 12 rounds. We're winning right now in round 7, but it's a close one. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your support. If you're watching or listening to this transmission, you are the resistance.
So the Oscars were last night. Nobody knew, but they did happen. And Jimmy Kimmel, he blew it. He sucked again. He had to push his political agenda during his monologues. Of course, pushing gun control, bashing Trump, lying about the misnomer of unequal pay. Says penis-free Oscar statue is Hollywood's ideal man. How did a guy, Jimmy Kimmel, go from hosting the Man Show that featured women on trampolines to the human Kanish that you see in front of you that is now just a mouthpiece for the Democrat Party? What a pathetic sack. But nobody watched as the Oscars hit ratings low. Meanwhile, Black Panther continues to surge in the box office while what used to be a popular actress, Jennifer Lawrence, Red Sparrow, flops. Yeah, that's what happens, Jennifer, when you try to shove your political agenda down people's throats. Ryan Seacrest is under attack with accusations. He's fighting them. It's just a dangerous precedent that these people are setting where you just can accuse somebody of sexual harassment and then they're guilty without due process. And one of the Nimrods over at the Oscars last night, Emma Watson, first of all, she has a haircut straight out of Dumb and Dumber. And then she goes dumbest and she puts a tattoo on her arm, Time's Up, and misspells time. Ouch. But you know what's funny? Time is up. Time is up on you. Time is up on Hollywood. Time is up on being bullied by the left. Time is up on the deep state. Time is up on globalism. So time is up. Can you imagine, though, if we had the schools guarded like the Oscars were guarded last night? Can you imagine if we had the same type of security at our schools that we had at the Oscars last night? But this is Hollywood. These are the gods and goddesses. So we have to have armed security for them. But the children, you know, we just push gun control when something bad happens to them. But here's a little montage of some of the highlights from last night's Oscars that everybody missed.
Oscar is the most beloved and respected man in Hollywood. And there's a very good reason why.
I thought that was Harvey Weinstein. Wasn't that Weinstein?
His hands where you can see them. Never says a rude word. And most importantly, no penis at all. He is literally a statue of limitations. And that's the kind of men we need more of in this town. What happened with Harvey and what's happening all over.
Says the guy who used to host the show that was all about men objectifying women.
To set an example.
We are so happy to be here, but a little nervous too, because a few years ago.
Turn this off. I can't deal with this crap. I'm done. Thank you. Thank you. That's why nobody watches. You know what? I'm glad that they go with the theme, time's up. I'm telling you, time is up for them. Their time is up. Yeah, there's the old, pull that back up. There's the old logo for The Man Show. The Man Show. It was called The Man Show. And then, I mean, so this is actually art from Sabo, who we have on, who's going to come on today. Actually, at 1 o'clock here Central, Sabo is going to come on. Now, this guy's become famous for some of his street art, where he just uses art and creativity to call out the double standards in Hollywood and to call out the double standards of liberalism. So Sabo is going to be joining us. It's just nuts. I mean, these people are such frauds. Oh, man-made global warming. How much gasoline do you think all of them burnt flying on their jets to get to the Oscars last night? How much energy do you think was spent lighting the Oscars so that all the prima donnas could be properly lit? How about all the money spent on security and arms to secure that event? What, don't have that at schools? No. If there's a threat of a gun at a school, the answer is gun control. But if there's a threat on the celebrities at the Oscars, the answer is armed security, lots of guns, heavy security. That makes sense. You see, Hollywood stars are all that matters. They're the most important thing on earth. Just ask them. Well, time's up, all right. Time's up on America being lectured by a bunch of Hollywood morons. Time's up on globalism destroying nation states and sovereignty in America. And time's up on fake news lying about current events and politics to properly shape their agenda, which is all part of the same agenda as the rest, to destroy America. And right now, you've heard it. It's been all over the internet, all over the news, how they're trying to ban Infowars on YouTube. We've gotten strikes, more strikes, strikes removed, new strikes. It's like they're just playing games with us. And of course, CNN is behind a lot of this now. So we are extending our Paul Revere specials. And it's the Defeat CNN's Attempt to Crush Infowars special, because if you are sick of CNN, if you want to thumb your nose at CNN, well, then you go to InfoWarsStore.com, and that's how you support us. And we've got great specials going on right now, including 50% off some of our most popular products like Super Male and Super Female Vitality, the Real Red Pill, True Whey Protein. All of that's 50% off and more. You've got a lot of the apparel at InfoWarsStore.com, 80% off right now. Specials on Brain Force Plus, all the most popular products. And, of course, free shipping store-wide. Free shipping store-wide. So if you're looking for a heavier order, like the emergency food supplies or an air filter or a water filter, now is the time to take advantage, because we've got free shipping store-wide. So if you watch CNN and Don Lemon and Brian Stelter and you get so mad you want to break your television, don't break your television. Keep your television. It's probably watching you. So just go to InfoWarsStore.com and support us and help us grow in the face of CNN and eventually just drown CNN fake news out. My next, there's a nice picture of Lemonhead, Don Lemonhead. My next guest is Brandon Tatum at The Officer Tatum. You can find his YouTube channel, BT Cruiser 34. You probably recognize him. He's been on with us before. We're going to talk a little bit about gun control, a little bit about some of the other issues going on right now. You know, Brandon, it's just amazing to me how here we are in the middle of being lectured by all of the liberals. You can't have guns. We need to, stop ARs. We need to do something about this Second Amendment and all this stuff. And then you have the Oscars last night. And what do you have? Armed security, heavily secured, lots of security detail with guns. I mean, it's weird how they want to be protected by guns, but if you want to protect a school with guns, the answer is no guns.
Yeah, I think it's just we're being influenced or run, not you and I, but the masses are being influenced and run by people who are ignorant, that just have a platform. So ignorant people with a platform, they spew out all of these things that sound politically correct, that sounds, I guess, conducive to their cause, but it's absolutely ignorant, man. There's no way, form, or fashion that people that can sit in a room and feel comfortable, safe, and protected by others will then reject the idea that our students and our schools, our young people, and even citizens walking around with the Second Amendment, constitutional right should be somehow robbed of their rights to defend themselves.
Yeah, and it's just a very dangerous, slippery slope, even to ban bump stocks, in my opinion, because they want to use this terminology where they say anything that increases the rate of fire. So what are they going to come after next? A new trigger, a new scope? I mean, so there's all kinds of things there. But, going back, you're a former police officer. When you looked at the event that happened in Florida, just from a scenario situation, and you hear about the officers not going in, you hear about the stand down, you hear about them telling medical teams not to go in, and then the medical teams saying we wanted to go in and we were told not to go in. I mean, what kind of tactics were they using there? I mean, did this sound like normal police tactics, or did it sound like something else was going on?
Well, this is a complete disgrace from the top all the way down. Obviously they've dropped the ball in multiple areas with the FBI, the local law enforcement, the school. Everybody dropped the ball when it comes to this kid. They could have prevented the shooting, had nothing to do with gun laws. If they would have just implemented the things that are already in place, this guy wouldn't have killed anybody. But the protocol for active shooting, I mean, I learned this 6 years ago when I became a police officer, and this has been going on forever. When there's an active shooting that is occurring in a school, you have to man up and you have to take responsibility for you being the one to have to save these young children. There is no staging. There is no planning. You may have 2 or 3 seconds to figure out how you're going to go and assess the issue and take down the threat. That's it. There is no waiting. There is no coming up with ideas. There's no, I'm waiting for my commander. And I tell you what, as a police officer, a former police officer, if I was in that situation, if the chief came and told me, stand down, I'll tell him to screw himself and I'll go in there and save those children's lives. Because I look at it as if, what if those were my children? What if my kids were in that school getting shot to death? Would I sit outside and wait, or will I go in there and risk my life to save those children?
Well, and it sounds to me that the officer that is being called a coward that didn't go into the situation, it sounds to me like he was trying to use some sort of tactical excuse and say, well, I didn't know where the shooter was, so I was trying to hold my place. Okay, maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but according to the way that they train you, that's not how it was supposed to go down. And then on the back end, though, it's almost as if they're trying to protect this officer, and then they let him walk away with his pension and retire. I mean, how do they allow this to happen? First, the guy, dereliction of duty, doesn't go in to save children's lives, and then they're going to give him a nice severance package on top of it?
Yeah, it's disgraceful, man. I'm not sure what the heck is going on in that county. I don't understand. Listen, our general orders in my former police department is cowardice is actually against the general order. Like if you cower in any situation that's presented to you and that caused other people to get hurt, or you pretty much fail in your assignment, you can be terminated. And when I say terminated doesn't mean give you an early retirement. Terminated means that you have not accomplish what you've sworn to do. Therefore, you can no longer do this job. If you can no longer do this job before your retirement date, then that means you're fired. No pension, no nothing. I honestly believe that I know that man probably worked his whole career, worked for 20 years. But when you end your career being a coward, not saving lives, you don't deserve a pension. You deserve to keep working until you figure out what's going on in your inner man, that you will let people die. There's no tactical advantage. There's no tactical scheme. Listen, when you see people getting shot while everybody's running and screaming, you need to be tracking the person who's shooting people. Because if he's on the other side of the school and you're sitting at a post, he's going to kill people before you run into him. So I don't like his excuse. I understand the hard work and dedication it takes to be a police officer. But at the end of the day, when you do something that egregious, you shouldn't have your pension.
Well, and it sounds to me like you could have yourself sit this down if you're the officer and you could say, look, I was a coward that day. I blew it. And so I'm gonna quit. You know, I can no longer fulfill my duties. I just can't do it. I don't have the spine anymore, whatever. So he quits. And then you have the sheriff, you know, who lambasts him saying, yeah, he's a coward. He blew it. But then they give him his retirement. I mean, it just sounds very strange. I mean, if this went on in a department that you worked for, what would you be thinking about the sheriff that allowed this to happen?
Oh, man. I mean, I don't understand how he still have his job, because it starts from the top down. When your officers are not responding properly and you have to wait for an outside agency to come and take responsibility for a situation that you were initially responding to, then that means that the chief is not, or the sheriff is not doing his job. That person is voted in. That person can be voted out. And I don't understand how this man still has his job after he gets on TV and says some of the dumbest things that I've ever heard. He failed to take accountability for anything that happened. I don't think I heard him say it was his fault. He keeps pointing the finger, blaming the NRA and everybody else from the things that I've heard. But at the end of the day, man, what it comes down to is that this man needs to take accountability for his actions. When his troops don't do what they're supposed to do, causing people to lose their lives unnecessarily, even when it comes to reporting or even the actions during that day, that man need to step down. He need to walk away from the job. He don't need to pander to anybody else. And I think that was a failed part on everybody's end for that man to keep his job and for them officers to not act.
Yeah, there were about 10 to 20 mistakes that should have prevented that shooting from happening long before Cruz ever decided to grab that gun, hop in an Uber, and show up at school that day. It's really sad, but we need to talk about the real issues here, and there's about 20 of them before we even get to gun control. So Kim Jong-un is going to be meeting with South Korean officials, and this is the first time since he became leader in 2011, he's going to be meeting face-to-face with South Korean officials. Now, how much credit does Trump get for that? Well, you can have that conversation, but certainly you would think some. You would say that President Trump has certainly influenced Kim Jong-un some, and the South Koreans some. So he deserves some credit. Now, CNN covered this story in like 5 different articles and hardly gave Trump any credit for it at all. So Trump, it's Trump's fault when North Korea threatens to blow us all up. Then it's Trump's fault when North Korea actually might be getting diplomatic with South Korea for the first time in almost a decade, though. You know, Trump is nowhere to be found in a CNN article. So that's just how the Communist News Network operates. That is, if they can find time from praising Kim Jong-un's sister all day long. My guest is Brandon Tatum, former police officer. You can find him on Twitter at The Officer Tatum, his YouTube channel, BTCruiser34, and his Patreon account, Patreon/Brandon Tatum, is how you can support him. Check out all of his work. Let's get into the Oscars. Now, Brandon, I'm pretty sure that we're about the same age. I'm 28 years old. I remember growing up, I think it was on like the original expansion of Fox Sports. It was like Fox Sports West or something, or it was featured on, I think, the first Fox Sports expansion when they launched all these other syndicates. And it was The Man Show. And it was on late nights, and I would always watch it, you know, when my parents went to bed. And, you know, I'm enjoying the fact that there's these, you know, women bouncing around on trampolines, and Jimmy and Norm Macdonald are making the crass potty humor jokes. Okay, you know, it was funny for a young kid, you know, staying up late. How did we go from that Jimmy Kimmel to the Jimmy Kimmel we see today that's a mouthpiece for the Democrat Party? And beyond that, I guess you could understand how that happens, but how is it that he actually gets to fill this throne, he is the heir of the liberals to tell us how to think on late night television and at the Oscars? It's like, how does he make that transition and get away with it?
Yeah, man, I have no idea. That's probably the $1 million question, man. It's really interesting to me that these people have gone completely berserk, man. They've you know, Trump derangement syndrome, and I said this earlier in the year. People reiterate this, but I really think it's a real thing, man. These people are cracking up left and right. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel is losing his mind, and they have no shame in what they're saying. Even as ridiculous as it is, they have no shame. I don't understand. Maybe because he, taking the syndrome pill or something, and he's gone crazy and he's adopted the principles, so they want to continue to use him moving forward. Other than that, I have no idea why this guy's acting like this.
No, I think when are we on the DSM-5 now, guys? When the DSM-6 comes out, Trump derangement syndrome honestly needs to be in it. No, I think that that's a real thing. Now, I doubt that would happen, but it should. I mean, this is a real thing. We're actually dealing with this. I mean, look at this. Twitter suspends user for calling Maxine Waters crazy old lying lunatic in a bad wig. That's just the truth. I mean, what? That's just the truth. And then Maxine Waters says that Trump is racist for questioning her IQ. If that isn't Trump derangement syndrome, I don't know what is. Maxine Waters has Trump derangement syndrome. How else do you explain it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you what, man. It's not even just the people who are in these political positions, people with a lot of fame. I mean, everyday people that I run into are completely losing their minds. I mean, with no kind of articulable facts to illustrate anything that they're talking about. All it is, if you say Trump, they go straight to saying he's a racist, that he's never done nothing. I've had people say that he haven't passed any legislation, or not passed any legislation, that Trump hasn't done anything for this country, that Trump is running us into the ground. He's racist against black people. He's trying to put us back into slavery. I have had people, literally grown adults, who supposedly have a functioning brain, that are saying things like this. And not only are they saying these things, they actually believe these things. That is the huge problem. And I think that's where we come into play, that we continue to push the message. We continue to tell the truth, no matter at what cost it is. And for people who support us to continue to show support so we can have a platform to pass this message on. Because if we fail to do this at this crucial time, then these leftist lunatics with Trump derangement syndrome are going to influence our children, not mine and yours, but they're going to influence the young people of this country. And before you know it, we're not going to have a country anymore. So I think it's invaluable for us to continue the path that we're doing, and for people who are really a part of this movement and message to continue to support and keep us moving forward.
And they really are already doing that. I mean, this is what we're seeing in the public education system, at the universities. It's really sad. But it's like a gut blow. I mean, it's like you talk to an individual and you say, all right, why don't you like Trump? Like, Trump hasn't done anything for America. He puts Russia before America. And it's just like, you just got kicked in the gut. You're like, oh, like what? Like what in the, you can't even believe it. It's like you lose your air. It's like, how do you, what? All right, you know what? The mental institution is 2 blocks that way. I think you'll find where you belong. All right, Brandon, I wanted to bring this story up today, and you used to play football at the University of Arizona, so I wanted to bring up this story because I find it very inspiring. One-handed linebacker makes statement with combine performance. Shaquem Griffin, I'm not sure if you know this guy, but he's a linebacker from Central Florida University, and he's missing a hand and part of his arm. And he's doing well in the combine. He's trying to become an NFL linebacker. But the reason I wanted to bring this up, and you can talk about, obviously the difficulty it would be for a linebacker to play with one hand. I mean, that's the biggest thing. You got to wrap people up and tackle them. But to me, this is a great story of perseverance, of not letting the status quo keep you down, of just pounding through whatever obstacles you have to get through to accomplish your dream. I mean, what do you think about this one-handed linebacker trying to make the NFL right now? Pretty inspiring to me.
Yeah, it's pretty inspiring, but this is the American spirit. This is what I feel America is all about. Is people who overcome adversities with minimal excuses. Because this is a perfect example. That man can lay down, say, I don't have a hand, or I'm missing part of my arm, so maybe I can't tackle, or I'm not good enough, or I shouldn't give it a try. But with the spirit, the American spirit that I feel like is in me and you, is that you don't have time to waste making excuses. If you want to get it done, then you get it done at all costs. And because he's not using these excuses of I don't know, that he was held down when he was young, he probably got bullied when he was young, all of these things, he's putting that aside and saying, you know what, I'm going to pursue my dreams with all I have. And in this country, is the only country that I can do that and actually become successful. So, man, I think kudos to him. I hope he make it to the NFL, and I hope he show the world that it does not matter what disposition you have. If you bust your tail, you work hard, you believe, you can accomplish anything.
Exactly. That is so well said, and that is the American dream. And you know what? It probably is a lot harder for Shaq Griffin to make the NFL than people with two hands, but he's not going to let that stop him. That's what America's all about. That's the American dream. That's inspirational to me. Brandon Tatum, thank you so much for joining us at The Real Officer Tatum. You can support him on Patreon, patreon.com/Brandon Tatum. There he goes. And as always, folks, we are in a war right now. You need to support people, support media that is putting out real ideas and real news. Infowarsstore.com. That's how you support us.
Jones here, about to take off on a family vacation here. Will be a working vacation. There will be live reports. There will be tape reports coming in. Owen Schroyer's doing a great job hosting live right now. But before they close the cockpit door and I take off, I wanted to call in with a couple of key tidbits of very, very exciting, positive news that the globalists do not want us to celebrate or be aware of, because it is a roadmap. It is a major roadmap to victory. And that roadmap to victory is this. They just had Italian elections, and they've got about 8 different major parties. They're a parliamentary system, not 2 major parties like us. And the huge news is, ladies and gentlemen, is that normally a populist party or other side parties might get 5% of the vote. They got right above 50%, and the Democratic Party of Italy just was swept from power, and their leader just resigned. This is happening in every nation across the world, so the demographic numbers, the facts, the voting blocks all show that despite the fact that the globalists have tried to flood the first world, the third world populations and brainwash them into globalist minions, it has not been successful at all. So there is that really, really exciting news that happened. And then, of course, in the history of...
Help keep our aircraft a little cool. So it's a little warm since it's been sitting out on the tarmac for an hour and a half. Thank you.
Okay, there you go. We've been sitting on the tarmac for an hour and a half, but they're letting us take off now. Let me just get back to what I was saying. The other big news is, in the history of Kim Jong-un being the 3rd generational dictator of North Korea, he's never met with any delegation from the South, but he invited the intelligence minister and others there for an emergency meeting, and that just shows you how Trump has gotten them to come to the table. And in the history before that, well, there's only been 3 other such meetings. So since 1949, when the whole communist invasion happened out of China, and they tried to take over North and South Korea, this is the 4th such meeting of this type, and proves that Trump is right by not going along with the strategic patience and letting them build their nuclear arsenal and threaten their neighbors, but by standing up to them and building up force and being serious about doing something, they have been now forced to back off and come to the table. So yet again, ladies and gentlemen, things are really changing. It's a big deal. Now, here's the negative news. I saw the reports on early voting here in Texas. The AP reported that Democrats have doubled their turnout in early voting that they did in the major election in 2016. Now, normally you've got about 20% more that vote during a general election, not a midterm election. So the fact that the Democrats are doubling in their turnout in the early voting in Texas shows it's going to be absolutely massive. And in many other states like California and Illinois, they let illegal aliens get driver's license and then vote. So that tells you that there's major election fraud going on everywhere, and that they're voting repeatedly and voting, often, as Obama told illegal aliens to do, and folks voting in the names of dead people. So if your father or mother or brother or sister died and they're on the voting roll, you got to go check the voting roll to make sure they're taken off the voting roll, or you can believe for many decades, there's some folks voting that are 150 years old in Illinois. They will be voting for the next few decades at least, unless you don't let the Democrats vote in their stead. People tend to blame illegal aliens. They're just people they put on buses and take around to vote 10 times off the voter roll. It's really the Democratic Party caught on video orchestrating that entire situation, as you know. This Project Veritas caught them. So good news, humanity's waking up, populism's exploding, but the globalists are engaged in more crime than ever. Back to Owen Schroyer in the live transmission from the ATX. I'm Alex Jones.
You know, and this really is an interesting story that I've kind of been monitoring, and it just actually keeps getting worse, where now, as Alex was just reporting, they have the numbers in, where it looks like they're actually getting double the amount of early voting registration for Democrats that they have in the past. And you actually break it down by numbers, specifically if you look at the state of Texas. And it's very strange because you say, at one angle you could understand, okay, the liberals are foaming at the mouth right now. They are going around doing all these voting registration activities. They do it outside of Black Panther movies. They do it outside of events. They do it anytime they can. You've got cities like Chicago where they're trying to get basically illegal non-citizens to vote. They're giving them the right to vote. You've got states like California where you know that's going on. And then they use their dirty tactics of just finding out who's still on the voter roll that shouldn't be there, like dead people or what have you. And it's funny because I was thinking about this, and you've got elections coming up here. And I'm actually registered to vote in St. Louis, Missouri. That's how I voted for Trump. I did I forget what it's called, an absentee ballot. But I still need to register to vote here in Texas. I need to take care of that. I'll probably take care of that this week. But I was thinking, I was like, you know, so it's like, how do you explain this? Do you do what James O'Keefe of Project Veritas has done and other people have done, and do you expose what the Democrats are doing to get votes? Like, do I intentionally try to vote multiple times like I'm a Democrat? Like, do I intentionally try to rig the system and cheat like the Democrats do just to prove you can do it? Just to prove how Democrats have basically zero security for elections anymore. So they want to complain, oh my gosh, Russian meddling in the election. They're looking around every corner, looking around under the desk. What? Russian meddling everywhere? Oh. But then they don't even want voter ID at the booth. Now, how do you explain that? How do you explain the Democrat Party crying, spending millions of dollars, weeping every day, preaching every day, Russian collusion, Russian collusion, Russian collusion, Russian meddling in the election, Russian influence in the election. The elections, they're screaming at the top, the election's null and void. The election's null and void. It was Russia. Russia tampered with the elections. Trump is not the president. It was Russia. And then the same Democratic Party says, you don't need a voter ID. What's that? Oh, you just came across the border from Mexico? You want to vote? Come on down, baby. Democrat, baby. We got you. How do you explain that? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. Surprisingly, it's actually very simple. Democrats thrive off the illegal vote. Why do you think people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters take more time and energy to acquire a vote from a non-citizen? Why do you think they campaign and take up the pulpit on issues that don't actually affect Americans but non-citizens? Well, think about it. What does a political candidate do as soon as they get into office? They are running for re-election. That is the Democrat platform. Non-citizens, open borders, anyone can vote. However, if the results of the election determined by the American people go against the Democrats, then it must have been Russian meddling. Why don't we just, you know what though? Why doesn't Russia, see, if Russia really wanted to meddle in the elections, all they would have to do is just send a tanker of people over. Just send mass loads of planes and boats. Just send over all these Russians and just have them go vote in California. I mean, that's all they would have to do. Just send in. They don't need to speak English. Just send them on in. Send them on in. Tell them they'll vote Democrat. Oh, yeah, the Democrats will sign you up real quick. They'll either find a way to get you a vote, get you an ID, get you a driver's license, or they'll find some dead schlep, and then you can just vote in place of them. I mean, it's insane. This is the Trump derangement syndrome. It's that real. But you do have President Trump calling out the Obama administration today, saying their crimes, the illegal spying, bigger than Watergate. And it is bigger than Watergate. And everybody knows it's bigger than Watergate. And that's why Trump's base is growing impatient as we are approaching a year and a half into Trump's first term, Hillary still walks free. Obama gets to walk free and just desecrate all over the portrait museum with that trash that he sends out there. Let's get these people in front of a House committee and give a testimony, Trump. Please, that's what we want. So there's still a lot of news that I need to get to today, and we will get to it. But before I get to that, I want to play these videos that we have on the Alex Jones channel. They always go viral, and this is the type of content they want stopped from getting out there into the public, hemisphere, into the public domain, where the street minions of the left are the most vile, disgusting, hateful, ignorant people that you can meet. And the average individual that isn't politically active or informed or what have you, is just neutral, sees that video and immediately wants to be removed from whatever that is. They see that hate, they see that disgust, and they just want to separate themselves from that. So they, maybe they become a conservative, or maybe they watch Infowars now, or maybe they like Trump, whatever it is. But that's always the instinctual reaction, is when you see something so disgusting as the average Trump protester, you just want to get away from that, as far away from that as possible. So that's why they want videos like this censored. So Trump comes to Austin, Texas to deal with Hurricane Harvey because the Emergency Management Center is here in Austin, Texas. So we go out to cover that, and sure enough, Trump protesters show up and they want Trump impeached, but they can't tell us why. Here is that video.
You need a few minutes? We're going to have a moment of silence.
All right, this is not the right video. This is the ultimate highlights video. I am looking for the epic fail video. Let's play that video.
These people want to impeach the president. Let's see if they can figure out why.
Here in this part.
Well, go ahead.
Why is Infowars filming this part of the collection of people?
Why wouldn't we?
Why would you?
Do these people, well, because it makes no sense. Don't these people want attention? Don't they want their message out?
I think that everybody's working on getting their message out, and we can do it pretty good without Infowars.
So here's a platform with millions of people. Why not have our platform?
Because your platform is fake news.
What did we report that's fake?
Just about 90% of what...
So to name one or two things, it should be easy.
I'm really not interested in...
So nothing? So you prove...
Right now.
So see, but here's the problem, ma'am. No, you're not. You're young and beautiful. No, you're young and beautiful. Listen, though. We don't report fake news.
I'm curious about why you would even dare be here.
Well, because I want to hear from people like you to figure out what you're thinking.
Why would I dare?
I mean, come on.
How dare I?
My president, something.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Here we go. Give them their platform.
This is such a glorious moment for me.
I got a chant going. What about gay frogs? Hey, who behind their sign mentioned gay frogs? That's actually a real issue. That's the funny thing about it. Is Infowars fake news? What does Infowars report that's fake? You, sir?
Everything.
I got nothing to say to you.
He's got nothing. Let's see. What, are you like Infowars, sir?
I really don't like Infowars, and I'm ashamed that Alex Jones is from Austin.
Why? He's from Dallas, actually.
He's based in Austin, right? You guys are based in Austin?
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
You're disgusting.
We bring a lot of money to the commerce here. You should like that. We pay taxes.
Based on conspiracy theories and fear-mongering and hatred. It's pretty disgusting.
What do we do that's hate-mongering?
You're a smarmy little prick.
What did I say that's smart? What are you talking about? I'm just
kind of hateful. Mike, you're
Trump hasn't come out with
out of my city, you prick. You.
Spread love, y'all.
Is this spreading love, do you think?
To this guy, they
spreading love.
I'm just asking questions. I haven't. Excuse me. I showed up here and you're the one that started hating me. So
you
that's not.
Up to me and asked me my opinion, and I gave
Actually,
it to you.
I was trying to talk to her and you stepped in front of me. What am I? What am I?
You're really tough, aren't you?
Dude, I'm literally standing here asking. I've never been in a fraternity. I'm cowardly?
Like a little job.
Hold on, I'm cowardly for stepping into a crowd of people that hate me.
You're being provocative.
I'm being provocative. Okay, I'm being provocative. Just by being here, I'm provocative. I'm not welcome here. You guys are so tolerant. Here, look at this guy. None of them, hey look, I asked one of you to have an educated conversation with me, just one. Just one. Because you're too stupid.
Climate change is real, says this guy.
Because you're not smart enough.
Yeah, it's called climate.
I have every right to be here, folks. This is the attack on free speech. They're all allowed to have their message. I'm not allowed to have mine.
We'll never be divided.
Hey, can you tell me why Trump should be impeached?
We'll never be divided.
Okay.
The people.
I'm going to ask everyone here why Trump should be impeached, one by one.
The people.
I've already asked these two. Hey, why should Trump be impeached?
United.
Why should Trump be impeached? Hey, why should Trump be impeached?
See, this is what they do. I told you, I don't make this up. They come up and they rub against you. It's some weird fetish of theirs. They like weren't hugged enough as children or something.
Do you believe Trump should be impeached?
Look at this one. This one was out. This one was out Saturday.
Now they're
this one. Pause it right here. This lunatic that's about to be featured here, making fart noises with her mouth. Was that from like Anchorman or something when he's drunk? This lunatic was back on the streets on Saturday, still making fart noises with her mouth, but now dressed as a clown. You can find that video on the Alex Jones channel on YouTube. Let's go back to this crazy.
Do you make fart noises with your mouth? That's a yes. That's the first answer we've gotten out here.
What?
Do you believe Trump should be impeached?
Look at this. What's this lunatic?
Because of a lot of things that he's done.
Like, name a couple.
Not united the country.
Well, how has he not united the country? You're the ones that are out here dividing it.
Are we?
Why should Trump be impeached? Give me the legal reasons.
Would you like a whistle?
Well, yeah, let me have
it's a lot easier to make fart noises with your mouth than answer questions, isn't it? It's a lot more fun, too.
Because you have a flag that you have something to say?
No, man, I'm just here asking people. What? I'm asking people why they want Trump impeached, and nobody can answer the question.
How many fart whistles does this woman have?
Get out of here. Why do you want Trump impeached?
It's been fake news for 15 years.
Why do you want Trump impeached? Hey, we found
everything we report on comes true.
Because he's lied 1,000 times on record.
What does he lie about?
Should we look it up on his phone?
No, he's recording right now. But you're the one saying impeach the president. Yeah, because you're the one who wants to impeach him.
I mean, I can't impeach him myself.
But you're out here with the impeach Trump crowd.
Yeah, I would love to advance an impeachment agenda.
Why?
Because we've got a liar.
I know, so it keeps coming back. So what did he lie about?
Let's look this up.
Okay. But you're out here protesting. You shouldn't have to look it up. You know, you should already know your cause, don't you think?
You're probably, right in some way, shape,
I mean, if you have to look it up, it must not be that important to you, you know?
This sounds like a leading question.
I'll tell you what, I'll let you do some research and we'll come back. How about that?
Thank you.
No problem. Hey, thank you for talking.
Thank you. Yeah, America first.
Well, I salute you. It must take some courage to come out here with all these crazy protesters.
Hey, then watch out.
Yeah, you know what?
This is my interview.
Hey,
Respect my interview, please.
Tell these people about the hate they're showing.
I'm just saying, anyways.
Yeah, I can't even interview this young man without them interrupting me.
I'm just curious. What's it like to be a Trump supporter out here with all the Trump haters? Are they, are they
annoying? It's annoying. It's charter, especially that one.
Are they telling you to leave like they're telling me to?
No.
They're not telling you to leave?
No.
Okay.
Probably so good.
In people's faces and harassing them.
Actually, I'm having a pleasant conversation with this young man right now. And did you hear that?
That's what they do.
Hey, can you tell me why Trump should be impeached, ma'am?
Go away.
Still over. Ma'am, can you tell me why Trump should be impeached?
Please go sell your supplements somewhere else.
We make great supplements. Would you like some?
No. Please go away.
Okay. We make excellent supplements. Infowarsstore.com.
So there you go. So that's what we deal with. And now here's another little highlight video of just a compilation of all the other events we go to with these crazies.
In a few minutes.
This is one of the most glorious moments of my career right here. Please go first, man.
Not just to be sad. Not just to be sad. But to ground ourselves in our resistance.
To ground ourselves in our resistance. What does that even mean?
Look around you.
Look around you.
We are the people we've been.
I'm the Keebler Elf out here leading this Trump protest. The Keebler Elf.
Make America great again! Whoa!
Yeah, this kind of feels fascist to me, yet they're out here protesting fascism. But it's not even beyond that. I mean, these are all semantics. I'm just talking about the feeling that I have in my bones. I'm just talking about my instinct and my spirit. That's just what it feels like. I mean, I feel like I'm being lectured up here by these radicals who really just don't like the results of the election, so they're trying to do anything. Yeah, F me. Here we go.
What up? Go f yourself.
Hey, why? Why? What's wrong with me?
Because assault is not boy talk, mother.
I didn't. Who did I assault?
Like, what matter?
Did you catch that? I just got assaulted. And she slaps me in the face. Right after she says assault is not boy talk, she then slaps me in the face.
Go f yourself, Alex Jones.
So there you go. I just literally got hit in the face. You know what? All right, you can pull it down. So that's what, you know, you have to go through these videos and you have to edit like every time these people talk. They can't even talk without saying F you, F that, F this. It's like, you know, read a book or something, man. You can figure out another way to insult me without just the F word, can't you? But those are the videos they want banned, folks. It's all on the Alex Jones channel. Check them out. Share those links. Make sure that CNN doesn't defeat us by spreading those videos. Well, Alex Jones was kicking it with Ted Nugent over the weekend, and we had a full film crew there, and they shot some unbelievable footage, some great clips with Ted Nugent as well. I mean, this guy is just 1776 to the core. But the thing about it that's so great to me is that the things that Nugent says, it just resonates with the average person. I mean, this is what the average person is thinking. It makes sense to the average person. And he says it in such a clairvoyant fashion that the average individual just hears it and just says, wow, that makes sense to me. Wow, that's cool. That guy's making sense. So we've got some clips. The full Ted Nugent interview / special, whatever you want to call it. Again, they're shooting guns. They're talking about 1776. They're talking about Trump. They're talking about history. He's playing the guitar. So just really cool stuff that's going to come from that video. But we've got some clips we're going to roll here today before we release the full Ted Nugent exclusive special here with Alex Jones. But here is Ted Nugent talking about what it means to be an American and the tradition of Americana.
I just wanted to play Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley music. I just wanted to practice my guitar and outdo the Ventures and Lonnie Mack and Duane Eddy. So I had bands in Detroit in the shadow of Motown. And when I was born in Detroit, everybody knows Detroit was the global epicenter of work ethic and productivity. Neighborliness, goodwill, a work ethic that was unprecedented maybe in the history of our species, except for maybe Glore in the year 6 when he finally got made fire. So I was in such a positive environment where America had proven to the globe that if you have freedom, you are more dedicated to good over evil, and that's how we defeated the Japs and the Nazis. And the whole world looked to America and went, boy, there's some bad motherfuckers, man. They climbed that Iwo Jima and they went to Boot Hill and they kicked ass on the maniac Banzais and the brainwashed Nazis. So the whole world looked to America and identified that what we were doing as an experiment in self-government with a Constitution, a Bill of Rights, and a Declaration of Independence might be something they might want to look into. So my positive spirit was untouchable. I just wanted to play this new uppity soundtrack that the Emancipation Proclamation gave to Chuck Berry and Bo Diddley and Little Richard to go ahead and express their musical dreams in defiance of all cultural controls of the time. I mean, Little Richard, are you kidding me? What? The punks got nothing on Little Richard. I mean, there's a black gay guy singing about whacking your daughter. Tutti frutti. I mean, what? You can't out-punk Little Richard. So I'm talking about inspiring in defiance of acceptable status quo music. My dad was a big Lawrence Welk fan. God bless him. So as I'm making my music and expressing myself in absolutism, never was I inhibited by any stretch of the imagination. And I started doing these interviews on radio stations when they started having rock and roll radio, and they'd always ask me where I get all this energy. A lot of people thought I was on some kind of drugs because of the energy that I was influenced by Little Richard and James Brown and my black heroes. And I went, no, I just had a great weekend with my dad up north. We were deer hunting. And the hippie disc jockey go, You like kill deer, man? I go, no, we eat them alive. What kind of question is that? And I hit this brick wall of insanity that I found someone who found fault with this perfect weekend with my family hunting deer. And now he's not just questioning it, he's angry. They're condemning me for murdering innocent animals. I'm going, are you kidding me? What are you talking about? And so
that's the Motor City Madman, Ted Nugent. Again, Alex Jones went up to hang out with him over the weekend. They got a ton of cool footage, shooting guns, talking history. That full exclusive content is going to be on the Alex Jones channel soon. We're going to have more clips later on in the show. But our next guest, Sabo, also embellishes and shows you the spirit of rebellion and defiance. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. My next guest, Sabo, is a street artist, a provocateur, a right-wing rebel, the badass behind unsavoryagents.com. And just like Ted Nugent, he embodies that defiant spirit of rebellion and that punk rock nature of pushing back against the establishment. And Sabo does it with his street art. You've probably seen it before. It makes its way on the internet of things. It makes its way on Twitter and everywhere. You can find it. There's one of their most recent artwork right there. And the Oscar for biggest pedophile goes to, of course, that triggered them all. So, Sabo, thank you for coming on with us today. Thank you for this interview.
Thank you for having me, man. I finally arrived. I'm on Infowars.
Well, it is the tip of the spear, no doubt. But it really is just a confluence of patriots that use this platform to share ideas and to try to start brush fires of liberty. And that's what you're doing. That's what you do with your street art. And, we're going to have the crew rolling some of the stuff that you've put out. But what got you started into this? What was the process that made you think, okay, I can influence people. I can kind of be defiant, and I can use my creativity by just putting out artwork that challenges the thought of liberalism, that challenges the established view or belief of Hollywood. How did you get started?
Well, what pushed me over the edge was getting old and not caring anymore. I'd acquired creative skills, technical skills, and I got tired of working for other people. And I just said, you know what? I want to apply my skills to something that I love, and that's exactly. And I love politics. So, and I've been doing this for quite some time. I believe that was around 2000.
So, where were you before? And are you saying that where you were expressing yourself before with your art, it wasn't really welcome to conservatives, and that's why you kind of had to go rogue, if you will?
At the time, we were just like the redheaded stepchildren and just getting beat all the time. It wasn't even a thought. But it became a thought to me because I would look around, listen to the radio, watch television. And I remember one night I was in Los Feliz, and I was looking for a Larry Elder book. And it was tucked away in the back of the store to where you couldn't find it. And all the liberal books were in the front. Mm-hmm. And I was like, why are all our creative writers and all these people treated in such a way? And by the way, where are all the political artists out there? And I didn't really see any. And at that point, I just said, you know what? This is what I'm going to do.
Well, it's amazing, too. You bring up that you were looking for that conservative book at say, a local Barnes & Noble or your local bookstore. That's actually something that these bookstores are doing. And if you know how it works, basically you can pay extra money to have your books laid out in the front of the store or to have like a centerfold section there. And conservative authors will actually pay that fee. Michael Savage is a good example. He pays the fee to get his book, God, Faith, and Reason, on a centerpiece in the front of the store. And then they bury it, like you said, they bury it in the back, and they put it in I think religion and culture section or whatever. He wanted it in politics. He paid for it to be in the front. So that's another thing they do. I mean, yeah. But isn't that amazing? I mean, how is that even legal? But that's what I'm saying. They don't care. They don't care. So that's kind of what you're feeling. It's like, okay, they don't care. They're going to shove us to the side. Why should I care?
You know what? And they're not going to care. It's like, God forbid, they have to like look on their computer to see if they even have it. They'll just flat out lie to you. And, if anything, that just means to me we just have to be that much more vigilant.
So what do you think has been the artwork that you've made that's gotten the most buzz? Is there anything that you've designed that's been by far the most popular, by far gotten the most attention?
Yeah, I would say, the Ted Cruz wasn't bad, and that had everything to do with the election cycle. I mean, it lasted as long as it did, and I was shocked that Cruz even ran with it. There was actually a time when I was like, okay, dude, enough. But, he's gracious enough. He kept pushing it. And but I mean, the past couple of months have been good with the whole Al Franken billboard and this last billboard and the Meryl Streep hit that we did recently. So it's just been going good in terms of traction.
Now, you're essentially going up against the beast. I mean, a lot of the stuff that you do does feature, Hollywood. There's some of the work right there with Meryl Streep. She knew about Harvey Weinstein. They all knew about Harvey Weinstein. And you designed those things. And there's another one with Al Franken. I mean, this is some of the work that you're doing. But I mean, I would imagine, there's got to be some pushback on you. I mean, do people threaten you? Are they trying to stop you? I mean, what do you deal with just to get your work out there?
Man, I don't even really want to think that much about it because I kind of have the feeling that they're doing their opposition research on me right now, and they're going to find every goat I've ever screwed. Or I don't know if I can cuss on this channel, but
no, you cannot.
Okay, then I won't. But I mean, they're going to like dig into my past, I'm sure. When I left yesterday morning, I saw someone standing across the street looking over at my place, and he just seemed weird. And so I like the fight. I don't mind. I like being on the field fighting. I get nervous when it gets quiet. And right now it's a little quiet, but it wouldn't surprise me. Anything that's super illegal is gone. I've taken it out of the apartment. It's gone wherever. And so they're more than welcome to raid the apartment at 2 o'clock in the morning whenever they like.
Well, I would think, again, just knowing how these Hollywood liberals work, I would think they see some of your street art out there, and then they see it making its way on social media. I would think they're doing everything to try to shut you down. I mean, that's how these people operate. They send out the dogs to try to stop people from calling them out, calling their truth out. So I would imagine, obviously, you deal with the politics, but you're probably, honestly, on a Maxine Waters radar, I don't really know if she cares that much. She's dealing with her own stuff, but I would imagine that Hollywood is really the group of people that hate you. Have you heard from anyone in Hollywood, maybe a conservative that happens to hear about stuff in Hollywood? Do you know it? I mean, are you angering the Hollywood liberals as much as you'd like to be?
From what I understand, I am. I love it when someone says, oh, I was at the studio the other day and I mentioned your name, and a top exec just rolled their eyes. I'm like, oh my God, a top exec knew who I was or who I am. And so I find it flattering. But hell, I was supposed to go to the Oscars, but the individual that was supposed to take me, she kind of disappeared. And I made a few phone calls, and they're like, man, her agent said if she takes you, she'll never work again. And not only that, she fell off a ladder. So I gave her a call, and she says, I broke both my knees falling off of a ladder. So there went my ticket to the Oscars. So I don't know what all that was about, but I hope her knees get better.
Boy, that is certainly a strange story there. I'm not surprised, though. I mean, boy, if you would have been sitting at the Oscars, you can only imagine the type of looks you would have been getting there. I mean, it's just amazing.
I was going for plan B. I was hoping Milo had the juice to get tickets. And I was like, I'd be more than happy to take Milo. I'm sure he'd have a fabulous dress. I'd have to wear a top hat because he's a full foot taller than I am. So it would have been great.
Well, and now Milo, actually, he just had to cancel his last event because of a credible death threat. I think we had the story at Infowars.com. So, I mean, they're getting crazier. I mean, that is the truth. They are getting crazier. But, these are the people that say that they appreciate art and they appreciate culture. So I think that there's a little silver lining to what you do because you actually are an artist and it is creative stuff that you're doing. I think that they actually enjoy it a little bit. I think they actually enjoy it a little bit, and they just cannot admit it.
Yeah, I get some compliments every now and then. They're like, I'm a liberal. I don't exactly believe in what you're doing, but I like how you're doing it. There's something about it going on the street that kind of turns people on. I mean, if I were to just do it and put it online, it wouldn't get nearly the traction.
Yeah, the fact that you actually put it out on the street is great too, and that's how it gets even more eyes because, you know, not everybody is on social media. In fact, more people are driving on the street past, you know, one of your billboards or one of the, you know, benches that you put your art on probably than would see it on social media. And that was kind of the rebellious rogue thing that you really did. We'll be right back. We got another segment with Sabo. Don't go anywhere. Well, little Brian Stelter and Donnie Boy Lemon, the Lemonhead, and the rest of the hosts over there at the Communist News Network want us shut down. You see, CNN is collapsing right now, and Infowars is blasting skyward, and it's killing CNN. Yep. There's Don Lemon when you just saw the last rating cycle. Yep. So we are launching, well, we're continuing a special at InfoWarsStore.com, but now into the second week of this special. Defeat CNN's attempt to crush Infowars. Defeat CNN's attempt to crush Infowars special. You've got all kinds of huge specials right now at InfoWarsStore.com. Some of the most popular products are on sale, including 50% off Super Male and Super Female Vitality, 50% off the Real Red Pill, 50% off True Whey Protein. You've got some of the apparel at InfoWarsStore.com, 80% off right now. That is just ridiculous. Brain Force Plus is 30% off. So all of these specials at InfoWarsStore.com right now. And take advantage of free shipping. If you've been looking at an air filter, a water filter, maybe some of our emergency food supplies, take advantage of the free shipping that's store-wide right now because you save major on shipping with free shipping when you order the emergency food and the air and the water filter. So it's all at InfoWarsStore.com. Defeat CNN's attempt to crush Infowars. This is how we do it. We're independent. We're funded by you. No one controls what we say. No one tells us what we can or cannot report. And that's because we remain independent with your support at InfoWarsStore.com. My guest is Sabo, the street artist who is famous for depicting Hollywood in a more realistic light with his art as well as politics. I want to go to this real quick clip, and then get Sabo's take on how this one individual, Jimmy Kimmel, ends up being the mouthpiece for the Democrat Party now, and the Time's Up, you know, Me Too movement as far as the men are concerned. He's the voice. But here's just a quick clip of Jimmy Kimmel last night at the Oscars.
Oscar is the most beloved and respected man in Hollywood, and there's a very good reason why. Just look at him. Keeps his hands where you can see them. Never says a rude word. And most importantly, no penis at all. He is literally a statue of limitations.
Now, see, this is funny.
The kind of men we
this is funny though, because think about this.
What's happening all over.
And talking about Harvey. But think about the reality of the situation, Sabo. So the actual, I mean, he was called a god. Harvey Weinstein, praised by Hollywood, praised by the Obamas, worked to help get Clinton elected. Harvey Weinstein, he was the idol in Hollywood. He was the most admired man in Hollywood. He was the pervert. He was the man accused of rape. He was the man where the Me Too movement started. And then Jimmy Kimmel makes some joke about how the most admired man in Hollywood is the Oscar because he doesn't have a penis, he doesn't grope you. When the real most admired man in Hollywood was Harvey Weinstein, who did all of that. I mean, how does Jimmy Kimmel become the mouthpiece of the good liberal, the man that used to host the Man Show that featured women bouncing on trampolines for entertainment?
Well, it's like he said himself. He doesn't have a penis. You know, he's one of these neutered males that Hollywood just loves, like Jimmy Fallon and the whole bunch of them. They're squeaky clean to some degree. How he gets away with the whole trampoline bit, and I have no idea. But
he was walking around asking young girls to touch his crotch for a skit.
Well, hey man, Kobe Bryant got an award last night, and I think he was accused of rape.
Now, to be fair, Kobe Bryant was accused of rape, and he went through the legal system and beat the charges. I think that was fair. But you know, that's a whole nother element of this issue. Now you're watching the Man Show. you know, that's a whole nother element of this, talking about due process, where you can just accuse someone of touching you wrong, and then all of a sudden they're a rapist, which, you know, is something that is going on right now too. But I just don't understand this. It's like Hollywood just wants you to forget. That's what it is, Sabo. That's why your art is so important, because Hollywood just wants you to forget about their past.
They do. And, you know, I don't know how Bill Maher even has a job. I think that guy, it's my opinion, that guy's probably one of the most disgusting people in Hollywood. And I haven't seen any flack go his way. I mean, you can go down a laundry list of people that have gotten away with murder. The only reason Weinstein's getting the heat that he's getting is he got caught. I don't know what it is.
Well, you know, that's actually interesting, because you think about it. Here's Hollywood lecturing us, time's up, me too. You were the problem. Why are you lecturing us? You need to be looking in the mirror. Hollywood needs to be lecturing Hollywood.
You know, 20 years ago, they could have pulled that Saul Alinsky stuff, like accuse, you know, hold people to the fire with their morals and values. But when you yourself have no morals and values or virtues, who are you to point the finger? So I like that America's starting to wake up and realize Hollywood's not the arbiter of these things, and they can go away.
Yeah, and I guess that's why you're seeing the people going to the cinema, people going to the movies way down. You're not seeing these big box office hits like you used to, where, I mean, Jennifer Lawrence can barely even sell a movie anymore. She used to be uber popular. I mean, remember, Jennifer Lawrence was the star of the Hunger Games. I mean, that was a huge series. She was a huge hit. Then she goes out and espouses her radical political views. No one wants to see her movies anymore. Does Hollywood even understand that they're hurting themselves?
They don't. From what I understand, she was like filming some movie in Russia. It was probably the last movie she came out with. And some guy sheepishly walked up to her and said, "Hey, can you get an autograph? Can I get an autograph for my girlfriend?" And she punched him. And she was all drunk and she assaulted him. I'm like, you know, sweetheart, you have a big house in the hill, a fat bank account, and fame. It's like, for God's sakes, just sign the man's paper. And it was at that point I'd said, this woman just doesn't get it.
Oh, well, that's the understatement of the century. This is the same woman who lectures us about global warming and then films a movie in Russia, and you know that they had to fly jets out there. You know, they had to fly very expensive jets. They had to burn a lot of fuel, a lot of carbon emissions coming from filming those fancy movies, Jennifer Lawrence. You don't seem to complain about that. And then, I don't know how we're going to survive, Sabo, but Jennifer Lawrence is going to take a break from acting to try to fix the American politics. Yeah, you know what that is? That's Jennifer Lawrence realizing that she's failing now as an actress, so she's trying to get publicity around her failing acting career.
She's doing us a favor, man. Keep resisting. Keep it up. You're only showing your butts even more. And I love that they're doing it so early, because we have another, what, 7 years, 6.5 years for this to go. So 2020 is going to be a circus, and I can't wait.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine? You look at Trump derangement syndrome where it is now. Oh, yeah. My God. Can you imagine in 6 years?
We'd be lucky to have a platform. I'm off of live streaming on YouTube till late April.
Oh, you've been banned on YouTube, too?
I've been banned on YouTube, and they took away my Facebook.
What's your YouTube channel? Plug your YouTube channel.
My YouTube channel is unsavoryagents.com/unsavoryagents. Or it's youtube.com/unsavoryagents.
All right. So there's Sabo, a famous street artist, the right-wing rebel who uses his art and creativity to put a mirror to Hollywood and Democrat politics. Thank you for your time, Sabo. So I didn't even know that our last guest, Sabo, was also being banned on YouTube. I mean, it's insane. So we report on this, not just Infowars and the Alex Jones channel getting hit with the strikes, and then them trying to strike the David Knight show. They try to strike the War Room show. They try to shut those down. I mean, the War Room show that I usually host from 3 to 6 p.m. with Roger Stone, we haven't even been able to go live for like over a month, and they don't even tell us. It's just, nope, you can't go live, and it's over some video that's already like everywhere, and it's just like, nope, you can't go live, which hurts the subscribers. And so then now on the Alex Jones channel, they say, oh, nope, you can't go live. You can't even upload a video. And that's where we were for about 12-hour to 24-hour period over the weekend. And then they removed the strike, and then they gave the strike back, and then they removed the strike, and then there's 3 strikes, and then there's 2 strikes. Now I think we're down to 1 strike again. So it's like they're playing this game of tiddlywinks. Or my theory is the Southern Poverty Law Center and CNN has minions, or even just the Brian Stelters. I wouldn't be shocked if Stelter was behind this. I mean, what, Brian Stelter, that guy? You think that guy has a life? So he goes and he flags, or let's say anyone, Southern Poverty Law Center, or anybody, even just some idiot liberal that just goes on YouTube. They flag an Infowars video. They say, Infowars reports all of the students that are activists from the Florida high school are crisis actors. And so they report the video, they flag the video, and then, you know, YouTube probably has some algorithm built in where it's just if Infowars gets flagged or if Alex Jones gets flagged, it's just boom. They just, oh yeah, of course, I'm sure it's real. You know, we know that Alex is bad, Infowars is bad, so yes, it must be real, whatever you're reporting, so we'll go ahead and initiate that strike. Then we appeal it. They review the video. They find out that we didn't say what we were flagged for saying, and then they remove the strike. So then they create this whole buzz about it. Infowars banned. Infowars losing advertisers. Alex Jones not banned. He lied about being banned. No, he is banned. No, he's not banned. And then the advertisers have confusion, and then you have fake ad buys where they just buy an advertisement to just say, we're pulling our advertisements. That's like CNN hires me just to fire me. It's like CNN hires Owen Schroyer. CNN fires Owen Schroyer. And then they make some huge story about it like they fired me. And the whole thing was just a stunt. So that's what we're dealing with. And then, again, you've got all these other channels, conservatives being censored, conservatives being banned. If you tweet, you get shadow banned. You know what? You know what? You know what? I already blew it. I already blew it this segment. We're going to do it next segment. We're going to go to this video. For next segment, guys, have this right. Ted Cruz. So look, Project Veritas has already caught these people admitting what they do. Project Veritas caught these people admitting they want Alex Jones censored, admitting they want YouTube to stop letting Infowars videos trend, Twitter admitting they want it they want to stop Infowars videos from trending. Now, this video of Ted Cruz is from back in January. Now, I pride myself on trying to not miss anything, and I missed this one. But Ted Cruz asks administrators from Facebook and Twitter and YouTube about censorship. And I mean, I don't know. I'm sitting and I'm watching this and I'm thinking, do we have a case of perjury against these people? But you'll notice that they don't answer Ted Cruz's questions about censorship. So I just want to make sure that I have the proper due diligence to cover that video. So I'm going to do that in the next segment because we're running out of time here. Meanwhile, let me just blast through some news. Kim Jong-un is set to meet with the leaders from South Korea for the first time since he has become the dictator there in North Carolina. So that's interesting news, big news. You've got President Trump calling out Barack Obama for crimes with the illegal spying, bigger than Watergate, rigging the election for Hillary, not doing anything about the Russian meddling. I mean, okay, yeah, we know, so let's get something done, you know. Get this guy in front of a committee or something. Michael Savage has his information doxxed. Protesters show up at his secret homes. So who's doxing conservatives? You had a conservative teacher get doxxed by the Huffington Post. Or I don't know if they were the original, but it was their first report on the teacher. So this teacher has a podcast, conservative, just American podcast, and they dox her because now she's a white nationalist. You see, if you love America, if you like the Second Amendment, and if you like free speech, see, you're a white nationalist, and you can't even have a podcast. So she's a teacher at Florida high school or middle school. Florida 25-year-old teacher at a middle school in Florida. has her conservative podcast. In fact, let me just plug that real quick. You know what? They want to shut that down. They want to shut that down. Let's give it a little more. Let's give it a little more momentum. The Unapologetic Podcast, covering the topics others are too afraid to talk about. And I'll be honest. I mean, this is a girl who can host a pretty good podcast. It's pretty good stuff. I listened to some of it before the show. But see, you've got all of these videos online where liberal professors are lecturing their class about politics. They're lecturing their class about Trump. They're lecturing their class about Trump racists. They're lecturing their class about all the political nonsense. You've got videos of professors literally pretending to shoot a gun at Trump on the screen. So liberal professors have gone totally radical left, and then they take their views to the classroom with them and indoctrinate their students. This teacher just has a podcast online, doesn't bring it to class with her, doesn't promote it in class, doesn't promote her politics. She's a social studies teacher. She's just teaching from the textbook, and she's the bad guy. I'm trying to get her onto the broadcast. I want to interview her. So Democrat liberal professors are able to espouse their politics in the classroom, indoctrinate their students, pretend to shoot Trump on a screen. But a conservative teacher wants to just have a podcast on the side. She needs to be shut down. She's a white nationalist. You see? Yes, that's how that works. Meanwhile, Dick's is going to stop selling pro-gun patriotic merchandise. Real good business decision, Dick's. Real good business decision. Not. Yeah, YouTube keeps trying to censor Infowars. That story was on Drudge. Liberals have now planned a play called Kill Climate Deniers, even though they're the climate deniers. They are the climate deniers. They said global warming. We said climate. Now they say climate, and then they say we're climate deniers. This is mental illness, man. I'm sorry. You know, this is just mental illness. If this isn't mental illness, I don't know what is. How about this one? Facebook asks users, should we allow men to ask children for sexual images? Facebook has admitted it was a quote-unquote mistake to ask users whether pedophiles requesting sexual pictures from children should be allowed on its website. Why is Facebook asking that? What is wrong with Facebook? Why would Facebook even... See, think about it. See, this is how you know it's a mental disorder, folks. Liberalism has become such a mental disorder. They're going left of Hitler. They're going left of Stalin. They're going left of Mao. They're so liberal. Let's just do it in the road. They're so liberal. Oh, a pedophile has the right to be on Facebook, too. A pedophile has a right to get lewd images of children. Or what do you think? I don't know. Facebook is just asking. I mean, should we allow pedophiles to be on Facebook and get sexual images and ask children? I mean, Facebook is just asking. They don't know. They don't know. They need to know. Ted Nugent is an all-American badass patriot to the core and an American hero. Alex Jones went up to his ranch over the weekend, and they shot some incredible footage. That full exclusive video will be released soon. But here's another snippet of Ted Nugent with Alex Jones.
The timing of every one of these shootings, if they were using a bird gun with buckshot, they could have killed more people per shot fired than with any AR-15, because nobody's resisting. 3.5-inch triple-aught buck literally is a cinder block wall destroyer. You can be behind a cinder block wall, and I can take 5 of these. The first 2 will take out the wall, the rest of them will cut you in half. Wow. These are what we use when we back up bear and lion hunters. These are 3.5-inch Magnum double-aught bucks. And each round shoots over 30 pellets. So it's like every time I pull the trigger once with that round, it's 30 people shooting. 30 bullets come out of there. 30 rounds come out of this. So this is a standard AR-15 that Eugene Stoner invented in the 1950s. It's a semi-automatic sporting rifle. It is not a weapon of war. No society would be so irresponsible to send heroes of the military into war with a semi-automatic weapon. It is not an assault rifle, and it is not a weapon of war. It is a standard American family modern sporting rifle that shoots one bullet per trigger pull. One trigger pull, one bullet. It shoots a .22 caliber bullet, and it's available everywhere because it's such an effective, wonderful home defense, hunting, competition, family weekends. You know, families in America, millions of them every weekend, shoot their guns. Problems in society is zero. Here goes a couple shots. So you can see it makes a little .22 caliber hole in the target. And then you would have to ask an honest person, so you would feel okay if your kids were killed with a goose gun, because you're afraid of an AR, because who can't get a goose gun or a pheasant gun or a dove gun? This is a goose gun, this is a duck gun, this is a pheasant gun, and loaded with standard ammunition that's available everywhere.
The first fully automatic rifles go back to the deck guns because they were shooting out a bunch of grape. I mean, that's what this is. This is the original assault rifle.
Well, again, my sheriff buddy showed me his pen the other day, that if he wanted to, it would be an assault pen, because I could assault you with it. So here's a standard sporting shotgun with double-aught buck that you can buy at any hardware store and any gun store, and you should, all around the world. And by the way, this range right here is about what the shooters had to deal with, because no one resisted. No one was trained how to fight back or how to deal with a shooter. So a shooter with a goose gun could have done this. Fire in the hole, clear? It's really a walloper.
Man, that sucker kicks.
It's really a lot of power. And I know this is just paper, but it'll show you the terminal ballistics of your standard firearms in America, your standard sporting shotguns that we hunt rabbits and pheasants and quail and doves and turkeys. And it's more deadly than an AR-15. This is one trigger squeeze of a 12-gauge shotgun with buckshot. If you really want to crush the left and want to crush freedom haters, not only should you be a member of the National Rifle Association, but you should give away memberships to everybody you know at work and church and school, your family. The NRA should have 50 million members, because I know there's over 100 million gun owners in this country. And so far, 5 to 6 million NRA members are doing the heavy lifting for freedom.
That's right.
The rest of America.
The Giant's only half awake, and we're starting to win. And we've just got to get the Giant fully awake and restore the Republic. If people want to go to North Korea or Venezuela and live in hell, they can go. But here we're going to go back to what made the country great. Ted Nugent, you're awesome. Thanks for having us in your home.
You bet. Glad to have you here, man.
Awesome.
Carry on. Keep raising hell. Remember, if you're not pissing off the assholes, you're an asshole.
We're entering the fourth and final hour here of the Alex Jones Show today, and I am about to hand it over to the bullpen where Gerald Celente is fired up. He's got all the news to cover. Again, folks, thank you for your support at InfoWarsStore.com. You make all of this possible. And remember, they are trying to silence people like us, people like Gerald Celente, and probably you yourself. They'll come for you next. So in these great times of censorship and the dehumanizing and demonetizing and everything that we have to deal with as conservatives, it's very important to support us. So we've got the Defeat CNN's Attempt to Crush InfoWars special right now at InfoWarsStore.com. So please support us. All right, without further ado, I hand the ball to Gerald Celente. Gerald, you're in. Close us off.
Thank you, Owen. And very wonderful being on, Alex Jones. And, just so people know that this has been going on for quite some time with Google taking down those that they don't want. And there's a site called the World Socialist website, WSWS.org. I go to it for a lot of information. I'm a political atheist. I don't call myself a conservative, a Democrat, a Republican. I look at things through the way they are. But I go to their site because they do a pretty good job of analyzing the data that's put out, and they're very anti-war. And they put out a study showing how, I'm going back several months now, how their algorithms have really been knocked off and how their viewership has really fallen. And again, I don't subscribe to their belief system, but I search out information. That's one of the things you do as a trend forecaster. You don't go to places to where you like. You go to places where you want to be informed. It's not about building your belief system. It's about finding facts. And the facts are there. And again, this is coming, we're talking Alex Jones on one side and World Socialist website on the other side. And you could just Google it up and you could do the research, put it right in there, and they'll show you how Google is taking down those that they don't want, and one after another. And ours, all the anti-war people, all the people that are against globalization and the powers to be are being hit by Google. And to show you firsthand what arrogant people Google, their operation is, I had to take Google to court. That's right. You could Google it up. Gerald Celente, Google, 2nd District Court, Federal Court, New York. You know that show Law and Order where they show the people walking up the stairs over there? That's the place. It cost me well into 6 figures because some slimy little jerk took out a Gerald Celente blog spot. That's right, my name. And kept putting up fake information. And people were calling me. We were losing subscriptions by the hundreds daily because of the things that I wasn't saying, but they appeared there because this guy put up all false information about me. Google refused to take it down. I had to hire a top law firm in New York City, Pryor Cashman. And it cost me a lot of cash, man. They lost the case. The arrogance. They brought in their top general counsel from California. He argued it was a First Amendment right. It wasn't a First Amendment. The judge, Kathleen Forrest, ruled right there and then that there was a violation of Gerald Celente's trademark, and well known worldwide for many years, have an established trademark. It was a violation, and they were claiming First Amendment rights. Had nothing to do with it. And the arrogance of this guy. Well, guess what? The same low-life person who we don't know where that they're doing it from now has a Gerald Celente's blog spot. They just put an S at the end. And Google refuses to take it down. But boy, oh boy, when CNN calls Google the Cartoon News Network, the crap news network, boy, do they jump. What a joke that thing is, CNN. You know, I go to all the sites because I need to know what's going on. And we're going to do some trend forecasting and show you how it's done. Current events form future trends. I have to see what's going on in the world to see, so I know what I'm talking about. And the facts, I just assume from going to different places when I get enough information from varied sources, then I see what's BS and what's hard fact. But I go to CNN and I go to the other sites in the United States to see the propaganda that they're putting out and the stupid stories that they're headlining. And I'm going to give you an example of the Cartoon News Network. That's right. You go on this morning, I'm interested in what just happened over there in Italy. As a paisano, more than that. I just want to see what's going on because they have a big election they just had, and I wanted to see who won. And the election was really a good one in the terms that they just overthrew the established powers. And Cinque Stelle, the five-star movement, was the one that got the most amount of votes. They call it a populist party. It's bad to be a populist. I can't belong to the pro-American party. No, no, no. I got to be a globalist. Everything's great since globalization, isn't it? Well, anyway, so now I want to know what's going on. So I look at, I go to Agency France. I go to BBC, Guardian. I go to Global Times, China. I want to see what Al Jazeera. I go to everybody. Guess what CNN had on? Hey, did you hear about the Oscars? Let me tell you more about the Oscars. I got a lot to tell you about the Oscars. Hey, you know about the Oscars? And then some stupid anti-Russian propaganda. So, as I'm watching CNN, all of a sudden, bam, up flashes this clown, this Don Lemon. Perfect name for the cat, man. Squeeze that lemon dry. A nothing but arrogant stupidity. This isn't news reporting. It's the arrogance of what they believe. El prostitutes. So we're talking Italian here. That's right. People that get paid to put out. Men and women. We got to be equal here. Prostitutes. I'm doing more looking at other garbage on CNN. And there's Anderson Cooper. Yeah, a nobody, a little boy born on third base and thought he hit a home run. If his mother wasn't a Vanderbilt, yeah, that's what he'd be doing, driving a van maybe and making $62.50 a week. That's who's destroying this country. The propaganda media, one after another. So do what you can to support Alex Jones. Do what you can to support the Trends Journal, our publication. You better put your money where your mind is, because all they're going to do is drop more filth on it and call it the truth. One clown show after another. Believing in the mainstream media is as stupid as believing in little Lindsey Graham, Chucky Schumer, little Paulie Munster Ryan, Diane Not-So-Feinstein. One clown after another. Don't forget to tune in. You know, America used to, they still do, they attack countries and they call them out for putting on propagandists. That's what we have in America. The propaganda stations. So support Alex Jones. Again, put your money where your mind is. We'll be back in a minute. Hi, welcome back. You know, today I'm going to do a little bit of trend forecasting, show you how we do it. Been doing this since 1980. And before we get into that, though, again, you know, it's very important that you support Infowars. And the way you can do that is by Infowars Life Operation Paul Revere 2018 Mega Special and much, much more. Listen, Alex Jones is under attack. Infowars is under attack. People like myself are under attack. So it's more important than ever that you support the show. And for a limited time, they're not only dropping the price on almost all their products by 30 to 80%. Make sure you support the InfoWar and get out and buy their incredible products now before the sales go back down at InfoWarsStore.com. Their stores, you know, their store is only one of the options for supporting Infowars. They also accept donations from fellow patriots and info warriors to grow in the fight for the truth. And you know, I've been around, you know, and I've been to many studios, and I used to be on Oprah, the Today Show, Good Morning America, and their team has grown, and their studios are top notch, and I've been there, and it's only with your help that they can reach the next level. So, some of the products: Super Male and Super Female Vitality. I love that Super Male Vitality. I get it myself. Real Red Pill, 50% off. Same thing with the Super Male and Female Vitality, 50% off. True Way, 50% off. Infowars Life Select products, 40% off. Clearance apparel, 80% off. An Aegis Armor backpack insert, 20% off. So there you got it. Those are some of the products, just some of them. Go to the Infowars site, look at all they have to offer, and again, if you don't support them, you know what you're going to get. Just get fed more prostitute news, just like this. The toilet paper record, the New York Times. This is today's. Give you an example of how they slant a story. Populists win in Italian vote, unsettling EU. Oh, populist, bad. Globalist, good. It's wonderful not to have your identity. Why should Italians be Italians? Germans be Germans. Irish be Irish. Polish be Polish. You gotta be a globalist. Yeah, let's melt it down into a multinational, nothing quality of ancestry country and be run by the multinationals. Fury aimed at Brussels and immigrants. And immigrants. Aimed at Brussels and immigrants. Yep. I go to Italy a lot. Used to go all the time. Not the same place anymore. And people don't realize what happened. The unemployment rate there is off the charts. So this election, very important. You don't see this happening in the United States. People are still stuck in a two-party system. Can you imagine voting for these jerks? Not you know, people, oh, if you don't vote, you get what you deserve. If you vote, you get what you deserve. I'm going to vote for Chucky Schumer or the other jerk running against them to be a member of the Bloods and the Crips, the Democrats and Republicans. New party. Immigrants. Hey, how did those immigrants happen? Couldn't be because Berlusconi, who lost, supported the overthrow of Muammar Gaddafi back in 2011, the leader of Libya, which was the richest country in Africa, that provided its people with much more than many other nations do. A government overthrown, a sovereign nation by Italy, NATO, another little boy of nothing, or three of them. Sarkozy of France, Cameron of the UK, Obama, and pushed by if only women's were in charge. Hillary Clinton, Samantha Power, and Susan Rice. Again, I'm tired of this race, creed, gender stuff. Good and bad comes in all of them. Save your trip for somebody else. Seen enough of it. When Gaddafi was going, Gaddafi had made a deal with Berlusconi, who was running Italy at the time, that they wouldn't let anybody coming out of Libya, because it's right near Italy, going into Italy. He stopped it. And he warned everyone, when you take me out, you're going to have a refugee and an immigrant crisis that you'll never be able to control. And there you got it. But nobody talks about why it happens. Oh, and you know those terrorists? So, where do you live? Illinois? Alabama? New York? California? Washington State? Oregon? Suppose a foreign nation came in, they don't like Trump, and they're going to bring democracy to America. And they invade our country to bring democracy back. And they kill everybody that you love, and you have no future. Well, if you were going to attack those invaders, you'd be a militant. And then after everybody you love is dead, and you're out of your mind, and you went to their country and killed people, then you're a terrorist. So you know the story. It's only good for crazy people running government to kill other innocent people, but when they retaliate, that's not good. That's terrorism and militancy. So now they're going after the Italians, as they did the Germans and others that are now throwing out the established parties. And now is the time for a new movement in America, a pro-America party. America, yes, first. And that's why I support Trump. I don't support him on a lot of things, but on trade, I'm 100% behind him. I know the facts, how Bill Clinton promised 200,000 jobs with NAFTA, and we lost over almost a million. Be back in a little bit. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget, put your money where your mind is and buy those Infowars products. It's extremely important, very important, to keep Infowars on the air as others are trying to take them down. Hey, welcome back, welcome back. And don't forget, you're selling propaganda so they can keep selling it, and they're getting everybody off the air that talks truth, freedom, justice, and true equality. So again, put your money where your mind is and support Infowars. Their products are great. I use them myself. Give you an example of how they're selling propaganda. It's from the Wall Street Journal. Russians tried to sway U.S. energy debate. Of course, they don't provide any facts, only innuendo. And that's all they do. And again, look what just happened in Italy, but not in America. You want to talk about a democracy? Not when you have a two club of murderers and thieves running the nation, Democrats and Republicans. How many wars do they have to start based on lies? And how much more of our money do they have to steal in the names of too big to fail? And speaking of too big to fail, in capitalism, there's no such thing. You rise and fall on your own merits. But those days are gone. Matter of fact, talking about Italy, Mussolini called it fascism, the merger of state and corporate powers. So again, showing you just how propaganda sells and what they do. Here's a story in the Alternative Paper Record, the New York Slimes. At colleges, protesters are typical, voters rare. And they go on to say, this University of Michigan has a long tradition of politically active students, dating back to the Vietnam War protests. That is why Eddie Goldenberg, a political science professor there, was shocked to learn the percentage of students at the school who cast ballots in the last midterm election, just 14%. Quote, "It was a wake-up call," Dr. Goldenberg said. "Nobody realized that so few students were turning out to vote." Hey, Goldenberg, why should you turn out to vote for a bunch of slimy little creeps? This garbage, if you don't vote, you get what you deserve. If you vote for a little Chucky Schumer, a Paulie Ryan, a Lindsey Graham, a John Insane McCain, Mitch McConnell, look at these freaks. How dare they tell us to vote for them? We need a new movement in America. And Infowars, the Trends Journal, Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, and others are pushing for that new movement. Because if we stay with the same gangsters, we'll get what we deserve, Mr. Goldenberg. Stupid little lines. It's exciting that colleges are starting to wake up to the role that they should play to teaching people how to be citizens of democracy, said Robert Donahue, Associate Director of the Center for Civic Engagement at Northwestern University. Hopefully, we'll live up to the charge and start turning out more active citizens and not just scholars. What scholars? Yes, we need active citizens. Totally agreeing, and this is a time to rise up. Now, on to some other trends. On the economy, hey, markets up again. Here's our forecast for the markets. As you well know, the Trends Journal was the first magazine to forecast the Trump rally a week after he got elected. Why? Well, we knew he was going to do the tax. We didn't know, but we knew he was saying he was going to give tax breaks, and that was going to help the corporations. Again, not in favor, not against. I'm not going to do that. What I'm telling you is the why, because I don't agree with a lot of them. But I'll tell you the implications. So going back to the stock markets. Price-earning ratios of stocks are doing very well. Last few years, 15%. Excuse me, not the price-earnings ratio, the profits of stocks, S&P 500, doing very well. So they had money to reinvest back into the economy. They haven't been doing it. Now, going back to the markets, we said in our winter edition, the top 10 trends of 2018, that'd be a 10% correction in the markets. And in early February, that happened. Why? The markets are overvalued. That's where the price-earnings ratio comes in. They're near historic highs. And they're over-leveraged with all these schemes like ETFs and other things that are driving them up. Now, where are the markets going? The Trump tariffs call last week had nothing to do with bringing down the market. The markets were down the last 2 days before that. They're going down because of fears that the Federal Reserve is going to raise interest rates. And it's the cheap money that boosted the markets up. This is a fact. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Companies are borrowing money for nothing. And that's what boosted them through stock buybacks. They're borrowing money, mergers and acquisition activity. So now they're concerned that we can't get that cheap money anymore if interest rates keep going up. They raised interest rates 5 times since 2015. The Fed rate is still only 1.25 to 1.50. That's nothing when you account for inflation after 5 years. There's a war against the savers. When I was a young guy, people used to put money in a thing called a savings account, and they get enough in their savings account, and they retire to Florida. It's a war against the savers. It's only boosted the equity markets. Now, that's what they're concerned about. They can't get that cheap money because interest rates will go up. It costs more to borrow. They're borrowing basically for nothing now. So where are the markets going to go? Going back to the Trump plan. Already stock buybacks are at an all-time high for this early in the year because of the tax breaks and allowing them to repatriate that money from overseas at a very low tax rate. They're not putting it into capital improvements. They're not putting in most of it into R&D or raising people's wages. Those are just the headlines that you're getting. The fact is, most of that dough is going into stock buybacks. What does that mean? The less stocks that are out there, it's a supply and demand issue. If there's a lot of stocks out there, the price is down. The fewer the stocks, the higher the prices go. That's why stock buybacks are so important to the corporations and the executives at the top. So that's what we're looking at. Where will the stock markets go? Well, we believe the Trump rally is nearing its peak or has peaked already. There's more of a downside risk than an upside gain as we see it at this point. And a wild card could crash this market. The thing to watch are gold prices. Right now, gold prices are slipping down. If the market was really in trouble, you'd see gold prices shooting up. So, it's something very important to watch. Keep your eye on it, and we'll be right back. Hey, welcome back, welcome back. I was talking about the economy, interest rates. So here's the deal. What's going to happen with the stock markets, again, it's a very different world than the real world. Because, as I've mentioned on Infowars before, 10% of the American population owns 90% of all the stocks, which on average is about $350,000 worth of shares they own, at 10% each. Now, the rest of the stocks are owned by the rest of us on only on average about $15,000. So the stock market and the real world are two very different ones. So going back to raising interest rates, they're only concerned about the big guys so they could get more cheap dough so they could keep boosting up the markets, because there's been no recovery. You're still looking at the labor force participation rate at near all-time highs, or all-time lows, I should say. The numbers are near all-time high. The people that have given up looking for work. And when you look at home ownership, it's back to 1960s levels. So all tides are not rising. Going back to interest rates, we're already seeing the dangers that are being reported by the FDIC. Delinquencies are increasing with mortgages. All those people who took out car loans, you don't have a job? Don't have any credit? Got no money? Don't worry about it. Just sign over here. You get a car, right? What's going to happen when interest rates go up? You can't pay for it now. How are you going to pay for it when it becomes more expensive? Now, let's forget the individual for a minute, and let's look at the nation. Another $1.5 trillion worth of debt, $20 trillion in debt. On what is it globally? Almost $50 trillion. What happens when interest rates go up? You can't pay it now, and then you got to pay it with more. That's why I was saying when we went into the break, watch gold prices. When you see gold prices start to take off, and here's our forecast that you have to watch. Again, think for yourself is the motto of the Trends Journal. When you see gold break over $1,385 an ounce, tune in tight. From there, it has to go to $1,450 an ounce. When it does, you'll see it skyrocket doing a Bitcoin bounce. On the other hand, if you see it going down, the markets are going to stabilize. So gold is going to go in the opposite way of the markets. The markets go down sharply, watch gold to go up. If it doesn't go up, the markets are not going to crash. They'll have a correction, and that's what they're in now, correction territory. So as the markets have been going down in February, and you didn't see gold go up, you saw it go down with them. Very important indicator. And again, current events form future trends. Losses from credit cards mount at small banks. Losses after consumer hit 7.2% in the fourth quarter, up from 4.5% a year ago, according to the Federal Reserve data. Okay? Going back to rising interest rates. Now, you can't afford it. What else will bring down the markets? Geopolitical. Watch what's going on in the Middle East. Watch the war talk that keeps heating up. Because as goes geopolitics, that could be the black swan event that could bring down the markets. And again, you got a bunch of sick people out there saying a lot of sick things. North Korea threatens to counter U.S. over military drill. Well, the one before that was that We saw little Lindsey Graham shoot his mouth off and say, you know, it won't be so bad if we go to war, basically against North Korea. But here's what the North Koreans are saying. They threatened to counter the U.S. if the United States holds joint military exercises with South Korea. If the U.S. finally holds joint military exercises while keeping sanctions on the DPRK, this is coming from them, the DPRK will continue to counter the United States by its own mode of counteraction, and the U.S. will be made to own all responsibilities for the ensuing consequences, North Korea's official KCNA news agency said. So, the United States has put sanctions on North Korea. North Korea has not invaded anyone. Yeah, they got missiles. Hey, yes, so? You got guns? You don't use them if nobody uses them against you. So North Korea made it very clear why they're going nuclear. Because they saw what the United States under Bush and Obama did to Hussein, Gaddafi, and what's going on in Syria. If Syria was nuclear, you think Saudi Arabia and the United States would have started the war against them? So they make it, all North Korea wants to do is to get into the business world. Look what's going on now. The United States is doing deals with Vietnam. Aircraft carriers going there now as we speak to pay a welcoming visit, to say hello, and we're friends now. Remember the Vietnam War? Remember the nearly 4 million Vietnamese were killed in Agent Orange and 58,000 Americans killed in a war based on lies? The Gulf of Tonkin incident never happened. So it's the bottom line. And the bottom line is North Korea does not want war. And we don't believe it'll happen there. Because if the United States or anybody invades North Korea, say goodbye to South Korea. And Seoul, South Korea is only about, 30 miles or so away from the DMZ. And they have in that area about 24 million people. So kiss it goodbye. So we don't see the problems happening there. We see them happening in the Middle East. So as the toilet paper of record, the New York Times and all the others keep selling the propaganda of what is going on in Syria and blaming it on Russia. What they don't put in, Saudi airstrike kills 15 civilians in northern Yemen. The Saudis are slaughtering Yemenis basically on a daily basis, with weapons supplied by the United States, intelligence supplied by the United States, under Obama, by the way. I'll never forget the day the war began. The Saudi ambassador out of Washington, D.C., announced that they were going to war against Yemen. We got to get rid of them Houthis, I tell you, because the Iranians are supporting them. No truth about that in proof, just as though there's no proof that Russia's hacked into our elections. So, that's where we are, and that's where we're at. So, the Houthis have been there for over 1,000 years, and Yemen was divided in the 1990s, and they don't want to be under control of a corrupt government. But the United States is also supplying the military, the intelligence, and the equipment to kill those people. We're very concerned about what's going on in the Middle East, because if the Middle East goes down, the markets will go down. You'll see oil prices spike to $100 a barrel. Going back to the debt levels I'm talking about with consumers, they're stretched already. You saw the GDP numbers came out, they brought them down a little bit. So the consumer can't take a bigger hit. And it's not only the American consumer. There's a lot of problems going on over there in China, too. And now with giving their head of that country over there, supreme commander for life, you know what's going on. China's greatest fear isn't the United States. It's his own people. And 1.3 billion of them. They have riots and demonstrations continually over wages and inequality. And now the new numbers just came out. It's not good. GDP is sinking.
It's also what happens when you listen to the radio host, Alex Jones, who claims that 9/11 and the Oklahoma City bombings were inside jobs. I don't know what happens in somebody's mind or how dark their heart must be to say things like that.
The Russians ran an extensive information war campaign against my campaign to influence voters in the election. And then they began to weaponize them. And they began to have some of their allies within the internet world, like Infowars, take out pieces and began to say the most outrageous, outlandish, absurd lies you can imagine.
But Trump doesn't challenge these lies. He actually went on Jones's show and said, "Your reputation is amazing. I will not let you down."
Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the Infowar.
We've taken Brain Force and made it Brain Force Plus. Now at 20% more in the bottle and an even more hardcore formula. You owe it to yourself to get these products. They really have worked for myself, my family. They have 5-star reviews by the thousands. InfoWarsLive.com.